morning. I'd like to buy a new hat, if you may, you rotund yet eminently approachable fellow. That's a very nice one you've got on, sir. But you are mistaken, I'm not wearing a hat. Don't be ridiculous, it's lovely, a deep forest green, a little bulbous and flappy for my taste, but it looks superb on you. I assure you, I'm not wearing a hat. Have it your way, but from here you look marvellous. Look in that mirror there, see, no hat, no hat. I'm waving my hand over the top of my head, and as you can see, there is no hat. Sure, sir, sure. It'll be our little secret. No secret, nothing strange, just no hat. That's why I, a gentleman, am here. A hat shop to purchase a hat. Oh, well, now I can see where the confusion lies. This isn't a hat shop. Not a hat shop? I am surrounded by hats. I was recommended this place by my good friend Alan, who said it sold lovely hats, and the shop is called La Boutique de Chapeau, which in French means the hat shop. Your friend Alan sounds like he's playing a prank on you, sir. This is no more a hat shop than I'm the Duchess of York, despite my childbearing hips and penchant for cream buns. If you knew Alan, you'd know he was no prankster indeed. He doesn't even like to buy slightly humorous greeting cards, and one time, when in Crete with Early for Pfeffernibble, he barely cracked a smile when he awoke one morning to find Early had died while masturbating in the broom cupboard. In fact, Alan was quite disturbed and humbled by the whole affair. But enough about Alan. How do you explain all these hats lying around and the name of the shop, which, if you've forgotten, is Le Boutique de Chapeau, which in French means the hat shop? Brexit? I would like to speak to a manager. You are a ridiculous person, and I want to spend no more time in your presence. I am the manager, sir. Well, then I'd like to speak to the owner. The owner? Yes, that's right. The owner. Oh, dear. What? Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. What? Well, the owner doesn't like to be disturbed, sir. He is an intensely private man. He's also part horse. What are you blathering about? Part horse? It's true, sir. The owner of this shop, La Boutique de Chapeau, is a centaur. Right, that's it. I'm leaving. I would, sir. It looks like rain. You know, I would have spent a lot of money on hats in here. That would be lovely if we were a hat shop, but alas, as I have been trying to explain, we are not, sir. Just out of interest, what do you think you do here? Why must everybody ask that? Oh, I don't know. The name of the shop, La Boutique de Chapeau, as I've explained multiple times. The abundance of hat-shaped products everywhere. The smell. Oh, you noticed that then, did you, sir? It's hard not to be honest. And hard not to smell like that when the owner is, as I have explained, part horse. That makes some sort of sense, I suppose. Anyway, what is this? What do you do here? All right, well, we are an emporium for confusion and wonder. We provide an irritating yet intriguing respite from the drudgery of the day-to-day of existence and plant the seed that maybe, just maybe, centaurs are real. All of this so that the annoyance and despair of religion, politics, protests, social media, celebrity chefs, singing competitions, daytime television, that thing Adele does with her mouth, babies, children, teenagers, people in general, really, those that own boat shoes, those that own salmon-coloured trousers, the people that spell their names with unnecessary Y's in them, Eric Stoltz, the way Piers Morgan smells, the way Piers Morgan eats, really Piers Morgan in general, the colour olive green, and any other number of things that might disgust a person in a day is washed away for a momentary second and replaced with an interaction that is decidedly unpleasant, but ultimately curious. You could have just sung me a song or tap danced or something. Right, but stop and think about that for a second. How would that have made you feel? Oh yes, that's right. I would have wanted to have punched you in the eye socket, but my politeness would have prohibited me from doing it, and then I would have slunk home feeling lesser than. Well, precisely. Other people's positivity and joy is simply a reminder of how little you have of your own, whereas questions about centaurs, well, that's just something everyone can get behind. So, can I see him then? See who? The centaur. Well, of course not. That would spoil the surprise. What surprise? Exactly. Right. Good day, sir. Kindly please leave now. But I... Really, you must leave. Now look here. All right. Put these headphones on then. Why? because I have something for you to listen to that will either explain everything or leave you more confused.
What is it?
The After Movie Diner, sir. It's all right. I'll leave. Too late!
You're listening to the sweet sounds of the After Movie Diner, which turned 10 years old in 2021. Insert suitable sounds of shock and awe now. If you enjoy the show and have pursued the recommended treatment from your medical providers, why not support the show on Patreon over at patreon.com/After Movie Diner. You can also donate to the show directly at aftermoviediner.com. Rate and review the show wherever podcasts are found, and rating and reviewing is possible. Even a 1-star review provides useful insights on exactly the sort of petty-minded and wretched individual who negatively reviews free entertainment they do not need to be consuming. And now, try to contain your outrage and yawns. Here is your host, John Cross.
Yes, I am John Cross, and no, I will not play with you and buy you lollipops. You should really know better at your age, Prime Minister. And now, without further need of a fluffer, it's the voicemail segment. Voicemail, a voicemail, everybody leave us a voicemail. A voicemail, a voicemail, won't everybody leave? Get out! Voicemail, voicemail, please everybody leave us a voicemail. They say voicemail, voicemail, now everybody leave. Get out! Jeff, you loiterer.
Hello, my name is Maj. I'm calling because the missus and I, we're going to see a movie this week, and we thought we would, we're looking for a place to go for maybe some drinks and some food after. And I saw your establishment online. Seemed like the perfect fit. I mean, you call yourselves the After Movie Diner, which is just perfect. The problem was I was looking at the Yelp reviews, and one of them really gave me pause. A gentleman who tried the lamb vindaloo, he said, and I quote, "My ass is on fire. My ass is on fire. Don't eat the food." Now, yours truly is a huge fan of lamb vindaloo, and, I understand that there is a certain amount of anal inflammation that comes because it's known for being a very spicy dish. The problem is, of course, the missus and I, we don't get out that often, and you can imagine if I'm pissing out my asshole, that could really cause some problems, especially if it involves some flaming sensation in the rectum area. It might kill the mood. So I was wondering if you guys could maybe, tone down a bit on the spice for the lamb vindaloo. All right. Thank you very much, and hope you have a great day.
Hi, this is Michael Allen Fitzgerald. I'm pretty much just calling to hear the voicemail message, which has already brightened my abysmal day, and also hoping there'd be a clue as to another insight into your script in progress. Other than that, thank you. Bye.
This is Matt Farley of Moturn Media. Just wanted to let you know I love the new voicemail segment. I love the theme song. It's really fun to hear all the callers. I hope it keeps coming. And movie recommendation, Mystic Pizza. I watched that again recently and had a delightful time. Mystic Pizza.
Sorry, I'm laughing at the outgoing message, but hey, it's a moderner from Twitter. I was going to say a movie recommendation is Waking the Divine, one of my all-time favorites. About a lottery scenario gone awry and a town coming together. It's just a great movie. Super fun. Watch it with the family. Watch it with anyone. It's a great movie. Waking the Divine, After Movie Diner. Have a good one.
Voicemail, a voicemail, everybody leave us a voicemail. A voicemail, a voicemail, won't everybody leave? Get out! Well, I am thoroughly enjoying these voicemail segments, and I do hope, like Brian Eno's advice to Zsa Zsa Gabor, that you keep them coming. If you wish to send us a voicemail, you can by calling the telephone number 347-669-0053. That's 347-669-0053. That's the way to leave us a voicemail. But hark, if you want to leave us a voicemail without using your phone, I don't know, maybe you're one of those people who have a phone that costs you money in some kind of way per minute or something, or maybe you're a spy behind enemy lines and the only phone you've got is a burner phone and you have to use it for really top secret messages, or, I don't know, sexting naughty and nudie Russian spies. I mean, I don't know, maybe you just, I don't know, don't have a phone. I really don't know. But if that is the case and you need to use your computer to leave us a voicemail, you can go over to speakpipe.com/aftermoviediner. That's speakpipe.com/aftermoviediner. So leave us a voicemail and be featured in these voicemail segments. And so, our guest on this week's show is the same guest that was on the show about 3 episodes ago. In fact, this is a part 2 of sorts. Not a number 2, and definitely not a 3, but a part 2, and since we last had him on the show, the world has shifted on its axis by about an inch. The trend in shoes is now to just be about 1.5 feet shorter. Belts are in, but not wide belts. Hair is so last year. Moccasins are making a comeback as food for poor people. Parts of Mississippi have been painted yellow and feature clog dancers performing violent reenactments of early Ellen shows, and everyone still really, really hates their own children. Except, luckily, our guest, who loves his and is mildly indifferent on everyone else's. That's because he's a much better man than I'll ever be. It's the one, it's the only, it's Scott Toomey, ladies and germs. Back on the After Movie Diner with part 2 of Teen Agents and Spy Kids. Part 2 of that formidable genre from the 80s and early 90s of when mostly either handsome and or loserish gentlemen of the college or high school variety would head off on a mad adventure full of essentially turning college age kids into actual murderers. Yeah. Which the last episode we did.
Or preteens.
But in the last episode we did Richard Grieco of Teen Agent and If Looks Could Kill, just in the third act, just became a gun-wielding murderer, essentially.
Yep.
And likewise, in one of 2 of tonight's discussion movies, Never Too Young to Die, Stamos. John Stamos he just becomes a killer. Goes from gymnast to killer in 90 minutes. Whereas the other one that your pick for the evening, Gotcha, has a very clever workaround for the college-age kid not becoming a mass murderer.
Yes, sir.
So we can get into that, but that's very exciting. How have you been, sir, since last we talked? Get the listeners up to speed with everything in Tombsland.
I mean, I've been good. It hasn't been that long.
No.
Like yourself, I got a little haircut today, so I'm rocking the shorter do.
Yeah, we got the old do's going. Yeah.
Not a heck of a lot, friend. Just, day by day.
Taking each day as it comes.
Yeah, I've got a couple more weeks of part-time work until my paternity leave expires, and then I'll be back to full-time right after Valentine's Day. So just enjoying things.
You can see out the paternity leave with some glorious Valentine's Day celebration for you and your good ladies.
Yep.
Because there are now multiple ladies in the Toombs household.
I'm surrounded.
And it's phenomenal. I was just saying to Kim the other day, most of my friends, like when I run through all of my friends who have had children, and there's at this point, we're all hitting our middle age. So at this point, a lot of us have had the kids. Almost all daughters, sir. Lots of daughters. So we've got a strong generation of women coming up behind us. And I don't know about you, sir, but I couldn't wish for a better thing than a strong generation of women. Let's get these men off the throne, yeah?
Exactly. No, I couldn't agree more. I'm excited for them to take the reins after we're all gone and forgotten.
Exactly. I'm very excited about it. But yes, down there, all of the friends I have had females, which is fantastic. And then even some of Kim's friends, they've had like a boy and a girl. So there's always a girl in the mix.
Yep.
So
a lot of my friends have had daughters too. I got two high school buddies, both had 2 daughters. I had two daughters, and then most of my other friends, a boy and a girl, and so good even mix.
It's good, man. Hopefully 100 years from now, shit may have changed rather than the constant struggle we find ourselves in. But that's good, man. It needs to change.
Yes, it does.
Scrape us away. Well, not us necessarily. I mean, we're good dudes. Don't scrape us away. But there are other dudes out there that probably need to be scraped away. But not the 2 gents we're going to be talking about tonight. Look at that segue right there.
Perfect.
These college-age kids turned super spies. Well, no, one turned super spy. The other one turned reluctant. What is he? Co-spy? I don't know.
I guess, yes. I guess you would say
reluctant accomplice is the word I was looking for.
Yep.
If my middle-aged brain wasn't kicking my ass, thesaurus style. So yeah, let's talk. Let's go gotcha first, because I think it's the more sensible of the two. So we should end with the more ridiculous one. But Gotcha from 1985, starring Anthony Edwards. This was your pick for this week.
Yes, sir.
And this was one I'd never heard of. I'd never seen a poster or a trailer or anything. This was entirely new to me. It is out on the Blu-rays from Kino Lorber, I believe. So it is available out there for people to pick up. But Scott, as this was your pick, so, and I know that you own not only the Blu-ray, but an old recorded off TV VHS.
That's right, man.
Which is just classic.
That's right, man.
Analog basement wonder.
Gosh.
Tell us all about it.
I love this movie. I want to say the first time that I ever saw it was my family used to get together with another family in town for pizza nights on like Sundays when we were kids. I probably couldn't have been older than 10 or 11 or something like that. And one night this movie came on, and all I saw was this kid running around with a paintball gun in the beginning, and then the parents turned it off because that was enough.
Yeah.
And then I think it was just another one of those movies that just kind of popped up on network television, one of the local Boston, TV stations. Used to get showed on, Saturday afternoons or Sunday afternoons and stuff like that, and just fell in love with it. Anthony Edwards is somebody that I know, and I'm sure most people know very well from Top Gun. His 7-season stint on ER, which is one of my favorite TV shows of all time.
Of course.
And, Revenge of the Nerds, of course. And there's a little bit of a connection in this movie that we'll talk about later between he and the director.
Yeah. Canoe.
Yeah. And it just like If Looks Could Kill or Teen Agent, this movie popped up at a time for me when I was just starting to get really heavy into spy movies and espionage thrillers and stuff like that. So the VHS recording that I had, I taped it off a TV in 1995 when I was 14 years old, which was right around when this was, this obsession for me was kind of picking up.
Yeah.
So, and I told you that I texted you the other day, actually. So I watched the Blu-ray a couple of weeks ago just to prep for the show. And then last night things were kind of slow at work, and I had my recorded VHS copy with me at work.
Because he never goes anywhere without it, ladies and germs. That's what happens.
And I have a little tube TV and VCR set up on my desk at work. So I popped it in, and this particular VHS tape has Gotcha taped off TV. It's got Superman the movie taped off TV, and it has Krull that I think I probably taped off of like HBO.
Oh, you must have done it on long play to get those three mighty movies all on one VHS.
It's true.
Back in the day when they were like, turn a 2-hour VHS into a 4-hour VHS by using long play, and everyone was like, oh.
I think I utilized long play quite a bit.
Yeah. Didn't we all once we got into movies?
Yeah.
And so let me ask you, commercials or commercial free?
Yep. No, this Gotcha has commercials. I don't know if Superman's got the commercials in it or not. I might have stayed up and paused it when the commercials came up. And Krull was off HBO, so there was no commercials for that. But yeah, no, this Gotcha's got commercials. I taped it off of TBS.
Oh yeah,
TBS in 1995.
And what about when they brought out those VHS players that claimed to sense when the commercials were coming in? And what would always happen is it would always cut. You'd get a minute of commercials, and then it would cut a minute off the restart of the movie.
Yeah.
And you would try it once or twice, and you would go, choices! No. Like it never worked.
Nope. No, for me, it was either just record the whole thing with the commercials, or sit there and watch it and pause it every time a commercial came on. And it was like an acquired skill to be able to feel when the movie was going to start again. Like, all right, this commercial, I think, this one ended on an interesting feeling. I think I'm going to hit record again right here, and the movie would start. And it was just over the years of recording movies off of TV and TV shows and stuff like that, I think that was a skill that you just kind of
developed.
Developed, yeah.
Because there would either be a momentary the commercial would either momentarily freeze frame, very slightly freeze frame before it went to the movie, or, and we used to get this in British TV, but not all the time. I think on ITV, which is the third channel back in the day, there used to be a couple of, sometimes, and you could only see it on certain monitors, but a white and black line right up in the top right-hand corner when it was about to go back to the movie. You would just see a little bloop, right in the top right-hand corner, little white and black line, and sometimes you could just, there we go.
I don't know if anything, if that existed over here, I never noticed it.
That was terrestrial though, it wasn't cable. I'm talking beamed through the sky like magic. It's funny because I can cable end is a cable. I go, well, it came through a cable. That makes sense. But terrestrial TV, when it's beamed through the air and bits and I'm just that's magic. That doesn't make any sense at all. It's I'll understand phones. I even understand smartphones to some extent. Sure. But fax machines, I put a physical piece of paper in a thing miles away, and that paper comes out. I'm talking about 1990. I'm not talking about fax machines now where they end up on your computer screen. But in the 90s and 80s, when a piece of paper would come spewing out of a machine in your front room, and it would have drawings and writings, and you'd be how does that even work? It's some kind of majesty. They've never topped that for me in sheer excitement. The very slow paper coming out of a machine making a high-pitched whine. So Gotcha starts, and Anthony Edwards is part of a college group that are playing the game Gotcha with paintball guns, which IMDb trivia tells me, and this is just another thing that blows my mind about American college life, that this was a real game that people played on campus.
Yeah. So I mean, it had we actually, so obviously we didn't play it with paintball guns, but we did when I went to college, we did play a game like it. I can't remember. It's had a bunch of different names.
There are multiple different names. Yes.
Yeah, I want to find somebody who actually played it with paintball guns on campus.
I can imagine ruining all those clothes that you don't have the money to replace.
These aren't the paintball guns we know today. These particular guns that they use in this movie, this movie was really was really the beginning of the paintball thing.
Yeah, they claim it's the first ever filmed production to feature paintball. That's what they claim.
And the guns that they use were actually used in the tree service.
Right.
The guns were used to mark trees in the forest to be cut down.
Yes.
And then whoever these people were, I don't know who they were, decided that they were going to, maybe we can shoot each other with these and make a fun game out of it or something. So,
yeah.
But,
madness.
Yeah, I've been trying to acquire the exact model paintball gun that he uses in the movie, and there is one on for sale on eBay right now for about $275, and I can't part with that much money, but I really want it. And have wanted it since I was a teenager.
So anyone listening, if you have that kind of coinage just lying around, maybe we have a secret millionaire listening to the show.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Who's just like, I'll throw Scott some shekels and buy him a 1980s paintball gun.
I'll put it up in my basement down here.
From the Forestry Service. Does it come with cartridges? Like, does it come with the ball, the actual...
No, I don't think so. It said the ad says that it's from a paintball museum or something like that. So I don't know.
So yes, it goes by many different names: Assassin, Killer, Elimination, Paranoia, Juggernaut, Assassins, Battle Royale, Circle of Death, and Chaos, spelled Chaos, which stood for Killing as Organized Sport, which has some real dark connotations to it. Also, I have to honestly say, like, having lived in the States long enough, I realize that this stuff is just at this point commonplace and you guys are all just weird. But after something like, I don't want to bring up, bad news, but after something like the Kent school shootings in the 60s, one would imagine that guns on campus, even paintball guns, would have just been a big no-no. I mean, not to mention then the proliferation of, and I don't know what it was like in the 80s, but certainly the last 15 years I've lived here, every year there's multiple school shootings. So the idea that there would be paintball guns just running rife, and I understand it's paintball, it's not real ammo or whatever, but difficult to tell the difference at a long distance.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. That's why I want to find somebody and see if there is somebody that exists that actually played this game on a college campus with paintball guns, or if it was just done for the movie.
Because were they done? What did you play? Was it more like Nerf guns or rubber sticky?
Actually, when we played it, it was more like tag. Like you had to kind of sneak up on the person and tag them. But you could use Nerf guns and stuff like that if you wanted to.
Right. Yeah. Like sticky darts or something.
Yeah.
I mean that's incredible. There are many universities. I mean, and again, I don't know. So if you are at a university in the United States, you're listening to this show right now, let me know if this is real, because I
don't think they do it anymore.
That many universities actually have a gotcha guild or a club or society that coordinates games for its participants, almost like the opposite of the Dead Poets Society. Instead of, I don't know, dressing up in makeup and reading poems in the woods and dancing around a fire, these guys are just wantonly trying to attack each other. Because it's not just certainly as the movie opens, it's not just the idea of being hit with a paintball, which bruises and causes damage to your clothes and goodness knows what else. It's also the fact that to avoid getting hit by the paintball, the sort of flips, stunts, jumps, things you would have to do that could go wrong and could end up getting a face full of gravel, while you're trying to dive out of the way of some lunatic, bemulleted gentleman trying to shoot you with a paintball. I mean, it was a different time, Scott, and we may never see the heady likes of it again. But yeah, so we start the movie with Anthony Edwards playing yet another nerd, essentially, who is part of this gotcha guild shooting people with paintballs and trying to get a date. It's all about a date. Scott, he wants a lady in his life. He is roommates and best friends with a Lothario of the highest order, or claims to be a Lothario of the highest order. He often doesn't quite succeed, but an Italian gentleman, is that right? No, South American gentleman, right? Or
I don't know how to say his first name. Zhu Garcia from, other people would know him from Nightmare on Elm Street. He played the Tina's boyfriend at the beginning of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes, that's right.
And his name in the movie is Manolo, which is a fantastic name for a real smooth operator.
It is. No, he's Manolo, the real smooth operator, and I forget where he's meant to be from. Is he meant to be Mexican or is he meant to be?
I think he is. Yeah. So
American.
It's filmed in Los Angeles.
So you got to imagine, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like they know each other pretty well too. So maybe they even knew each other before they got to college. I'm not really sure, but
yeah, they've been friends for a while. They're both roomies, and also it's hinted at one point in the movie that not only is Manolo part of a gang, part of a sort of street gang, a Mexican street gang, car gang, whatever you want to call it, but that Anthony Edwards was also at one point part of that gang.
Okay, I don't know if I ever picked up on that.
Because he says once a part of the gang, he said you may be out of it now, but once part of the gang, always part of the gang will help you out. Like later on when they get their cars to block off the CIA dudes, he says in their room, once part of the gang, always part of the gang. And I'm like, wait, I want to know when.
I thought he was talking about himself because Anthony Edwards asks him, "Are you still a homeboy?" And he said, "Yeah, you're in a gang for life." So I think he was talking about himself.
Oh, yeah, that makes more sense. No, that makes more sense.
It's like, I don't know that.
I wanted a prequel
Jonathan Moore is
where pasty white Anthony Edwards was part of a Mexican street gang.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense. That makes more sense. So Manolo, it sounds like, probably grew up a little rough and ready on the streets, whereas Anthony Edwards is white bread all the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Alex Rocco was his father. What a fantastic cameo. Who doesn't love the Rocco? Which is funny because that also makes me feel like, well, what, is Anthony Edwards meant to be Italian? Like, there's nothing Italian about Anthony Edwards. But Rocco is so heavily Italian. Like, he's so fantastic in this movie. Although his mum is pretty so
waspy. Maybe he's both.
Half and half. Both and both. But anyway, fantastic. He grew up, obviously, with some money.
Yep.
But him and his pal Manolo have planned a summer sojourn over to Paris and Spain.
Oui, Paris.
And it's not like Teenager. This is not strictly a school thing, although Anthony Edwards is trying to sell it as, well, I might learn something over there.
Yeah, it's more like, I think it's more like a spring break kind of thing for them.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
And their real plan is just to get over there and smooch with the ladies as much as possible.
Score.
With which Anthony Edwards has no luck. He's just, if he's either too direct or he's not direct enough, or he has the language barrier, or people tell him to say the wrong thing and he says, basically, will you have sex with me tonight in French?
Oh, yeah.
At a woman who then smacks him across the face on a crosswalk.
Yep.
But we take them to France, and there he meets Sasha, played by Linda Fiorentino.
The sultry Linda Fiorentino.
Yeah, with the pre-manic pixie dream girl haircut.
Yeah.
Like she's ahead of her time, like probably 18 years. It's she's got the little I tell you what she's got.
Like a boy cut.
She's got the Bridget Fonda in single white female cut. That's what she's got.
Definitely. Or the Demi Moore in Ghost.
Yes. The Demi Ghost haircut is what she's got.
Yeah. Maybe it's not the right way to say it, but it's, in those days it would have been described as a boy cut.
Yeah, right. Yes. Cropped short, and she shows Anthony Edwards the ways of the woman and of love. And of cycling and sightseeing.
I have to say, before we get any further, I have to say that one of my favorite scenes in the movie is Anthony Edwards' interaction with the waiter.
Yes.
In that restaurant.
Definitely in that. No, we'll get to discuss various things.
Okay.
I just want to quickly
get the plot out of the way.
Yeah, so Sasha turns out to be more than you would expect. The journey takes them to East Berlin. This is one of the four movies that we did. This is the only one that specifically references the Cold War, although they all have Cold War influences because it was the height of spies and daring do, especially in movie land. But this is the only one that specifically and indeed filmed as close to East Germany as an American film company could get back in the day. And I wouldn't say hijinks ensue because it gets rather serious, but some Russian operatives are on their tail. He manages to escape the East, gets on a plane, flies home, thinks, that's all over and done with. But no, the Russians have followed him to California, and it's all exciting for the big full showdown on U.S. soil. But that's the basic plot. He becomes Sasha's unwitting but possibly willing accomplice, meaning he's sort of aware everything isn't above board, but
Yeah.
he's sort of smitten. And he also thinks that she is sort of honorable up to a point until he realizes the twist
Yep.
at the end of the movie.
Yep.
But yeah,
and he secretly, this is kind of something that he's, it's gotcha come to life for him. So.
Yes, it's in his wheelhouse to some extent, although not maybe to the extent that he would hope.
Oh yeah,
having to jump from the citadel into the
what?
The moat.
You jumped in a moat?
Yeah, jumped in a moat. He's on drugs. He's on drugs. Why is my Nikon all wet?
So many good lines.
So many good lines. So Scott, obviously give us your review of the film, and then let's break down some of your favorite scenes.
Okay, that sounds good. Being somebody who has seen this movie so many times and started, watching it on the regular when I was, 14, 15 years old. I could probably act out the entire movie for you. I can say that when I was a kid, I thought that the gang members all at the end, when they show up with all the guns, I thought those were all paintball guns. Right. I thought they were a part of the game. I didn't know that those were actual real guns.
How about that gang
Very
member's
naive.
face? He's
so good.
The last one's like giving it teeth and holding the.
So good.
He was my favorite. He was my favorite.
But yeah, no, I love everything about this movie. I love the big opening with the paintball scenes and stuff like that. I always thought that was really cool. When I was a kid, I actually made myself on the computer a gotcha identification player game, a gotcha player card for myself. Right there. Yeah, I was totally obsessed with this movie for God knows how long.
You may be the only deep gotcha nerd on the planet. I love it.
I have to show you. So when we decided we were finally going to record these, I showed you my Cloak and Dagger pin that I got off eBay. But I also found a very rare piece of gotcha promotional something. I'll have to show it to you before we get off camera.
Oh, exciting!
It's pretty cool, actually. So yeah, I got really into buying VHS tapes when I was in college. I started going on eBay and buying stuff that was out of print. This was one of the first ones that I bought. And then, it hit DVD, and then it hit Blu-ray recently. I didn't even know about that. My friend had to tell me about it. I don't know. I can't explain why I love it so much. I mean, we all already know that I love this genre of teens or kids getting wrapped up and embroiled in an espionage, thriller type ordeal. Linda Fiorentino, you can't say much about her. She's just great. I've loved her since Vision Quest, which was her first movie. So,
and she's I think I was doing some sort of reading up on her because she's someone who's sort of quit acting now and does a lot more activism and charity work and various other things right now. And it's funny because. Her acting ability is phenomenal. She's a really good actress, just a really, really strong actress, and definitely a strong woman as well, just from all accounts. But you can never tell whether the clashes that she had famously behind the scenes on almost all of her films with someone, whether it was the director or another actor or screenwriter or whatever, were due to her just, being a stronger woman and there being a sort of inherent misogyny in Hollywood, which I think just from interviews and things is sort of her take on it. Yeah.
Did you see the interview that she did with Letterman?
I did not. No.
Did you? Okay. She did an interview with Letterman when a movie that she did called The Last Seduction got picked up by a distributor and got put into theaters. Yeah. And she, after Vision Quest, she actually she quit acting after Vision Quest for a little while, right? Because
gotcha lured her back into into the role.
She says in the interview with Letterman that I guess like a producer or something like that called her up and told her like, oh, we love the dailies, blah, 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 but your jeans aren't tight enough and you have a really great ass, basically.
Right. Yeah.
And that put her off, and she stopped acting for a little while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always been a fan of hers. She's great. She always tends to show up in these kind of like, I mean, more so I think in the 90s, some more like erotic thrillers.
Well, yeah, films. I mean, I think Last Seduction, while it was probably the one that she'll be most known for,
yeah,
it also probably pigeonholed her to be the actor that people went to be like, oh, we're doing a low rent Joe Esterhaus movie or whatever, come be in that. And you know, it's difficult because it's the same thing happened to Sharon Stone after Basic Instinct, because you have this meaty, empowered, strong, you know, intricate female role in Basic Instinct or Last Seduction or any of those kind of prominent, Fatal Attraction with Glenn Close. They're all intriguing, interesting, strong female roles.
Yeah.
But they also have the, you know, they also have the misogyny of, well, for a woman to be interesting, she must be a psychopath and she must be naked half the time and so on and so forth. So it sort of has, it's 50-50, right? And if you're an actor and you're not getting any meaty roles, and here comes a meaty role, and, you know, there's some compromises to it or whatever you got to make, then, you know, you make that decision and you roll those dice. But unfortunately, it's probably all you get offered. Yeah. You know, she does some action roles. She's in some action films. She's most notably also in Men in Black, which apparently she won from Barry Sonnenfeld in a poker game, apparently.
That's great.
She won the role in a poker game from Barry Sonnenfeld. But no, I think where I get the disconnect is the fact that she like also got shitty with Kevin Smith. And I get Kevin Smith as a polarizing figure.
Sure.
He could both be like very charming and very annoying in equal measure. And he is definitely, I mean, certainly when they were making Dogma, still part of that all boys club. I mean, Dogma is almost 90% guys and then her. So I can only imagine that she probably felt like, oh, Jesus, more guys making dick jokes. You know what I mean? It must have been annoying. But I just never felt that, you know, she's such a good actress. I love What a Strong Woman is. I've never felt that her reputation was fair. I always feel when I hear a reputation like hers, unless there's something I can really pinpoint that warrants it, it's probably men, you know, not being able to handle like a strong woman. Yeah. The other actress I think of is who has this reputation is I'm going to forget her name, but Officer and a Gentleman. What was her name?
Yeah, for Urban Cowboy.
Yeah, I'm going to forget her name now.
Yeah, me too.
But you know who I'm talking about. She also, I don't know whether she quit acting altogether, but she got a horrible reputation after those two movies for being difficult. But I always feel like when people say, oh, she's being difficult, what they really mean is, you know, I like women to be quiet and not, you know, and know their place. Sure. Deborah Winger,
yeah.
So I don't know, but I don't care about reputations. I like Linda Fiorentino. I think she is a fantastic actress. I think in Gotcha, you know, considering she's doing a Czechoslovakian accent throughout the whole movie,
it's pretty convincing.
Well, it could come across as awful. It could come across as someone sort of just doing a cod Eastern European accent. Yeah. She sustains it, maintains it, the character suits it.
Yep.
And it's never played for too much for you know, laughs or you know, misunderstandings or xenophobia or anything like that. It's played pretty straight. So that works really well. Yeah. And then the movie I think the movie has a slightly odd tone because there are, as you say, some scenes like the waiter scene with the Pernod, Pernod with water scene. And it's odd that he's drinking Pernod anyway because it's not.
I don't even know what that is.
It's an aniseed liquor. So it tastes like licorice, but it's sort of like it's sort of like a
well, I don't think he knew what he was ordering. I think
Sambuca type thing. I think I'm right in saying.
Yeah.
that it's sort of similar to Sambuca.
Yeah. Well, that's probably part of the joke. I mean, he had no clue what he was ordering. I don't think.
Right, but then he orders the second one.
Yeah, I guess he liked it. Maybe.
He liked it.
That's funny.
But yeah, no. So the Pernod scene is sort of played for laughs, and certainly, there are scenes with Manolo pretending to be. A terrorist in order to score with Swedish chicks who turn out to be Swiss. There's certain things in it that are definitely jokey, but the overall tone of all four movies, this is probably the most serious.
Yeah, it's probably like the first maybe like half of the movie plays like a kind of a typical college. Tomfoolery type of not sex comedy, but like kind of borderline. Like he's just going. They have the scene in his class where he says it out loud. Let's face it, I'm never going to get laid, and everyone in the class hears him. You know what I mean? So I think it kind of leads you to believe that maybe that's the kind of movie that it's going to be. But then when it takes that turn to being I think a pretty cool little espionage thriller,
little Eastern European thing.
Yeah, kind of takes you by surprise a little bit. Well, not unlike in From Dusk Till Dawn.
Indeed.
That's the only movie I could think of.
Yeah.
It completely changes tones halfway through.
Well, it's also sort of difficult, right? Because you have, bright, sunny California and, American kids with their, hamburgers and fast cars and snazzy clothes. And then, the middle of the movie takes place in Europe, as if Europe is perpetually grey and miserable, which it is. I mean, I should just admit it. Europe is the grey, miserable old world, with California being the hip, young, funky world.
Well, at least France looks nice. But then when they get into Germany and East Berlin and stuff, then
And to be fair, Berlin is even today the sort of thriving, arty, hip metropolis that Berlin has become. It is still has vast swathes of it that are just grey tower blocks. So
I always love that part when he's telling his parents that he's going to East Berlin. East Berlin? I don't think you want to go there, honey.
No. But it's difficult because I think the scene's changing so much. I found the middle section of the movie, while I enjoyed the whole thing, definitely enjoyed the whole thing. The middle section of the movie has some slow parts in it, which I think.
The relationship building between the two of them, the lovey-dovey stuff.
I didn't mind that because they had a wonderful 80s montage of that cut between learning the lessons of love. I'll just put it that way, Scott. I'll put it politely that way. Learning the lessons of love with wonderful like bike riding along the Seine and picking flowers and wandering through French markets and giving each other bread and baguettes and things. It was all very that was all very fun. No, I just think if I was again, I don't have the nostalgic or even the kind of history with the film, and it's interesting because I've been going along this journey recently, especially since starting 22, and I keep mentioning my review of Ghostbusters Afterlife because what I was trying to get at with Ghostbusters Afterlife was sort of saying, well, I'm going to leave certain things there, and I'm accused very often of sort of nostalgia mining or only loving stuff because of its retro nature or whatever. But that's not true. I watch a lot of new movies and I also go back and watch a lot of movies that are new to me. Sure. And Cloak and Dagger was one because it's like, I didn't like Cloak and Dagger because I had some nostalgic memory of Cloak and Dagger. Right. I watched it as an adult the first time. So, but then there are other movies that I think benefit probably slightly just from that history of it. So coming to this movie, I can't say it was the resounding success that Cloak and Dagger was. So I don't mean to, but I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. It's definitely like a strong, 3.5 out of 5 kind of movie. And I definitely could see why you loved it. Like, and I could see that if it was one that I'd watched throughout the years, it would have kind of built that reputation for me. Because, every few minutes in the movie, there's like another like, oh, wow, okay, they're putting something different in there. There's a bit of comedy here. There's a bit of spy hullabaloo. There's, a nice gag at the East German border with the same woman at different windows where he goes to get out of the country, and she's like, your visa expired 4 hours ago, and he's like, but I'm leaving. She's like, you need a new visa, window 2, and he goes down to window 2, and it's the same woman, and she's like, yes, can I help you? And he's like, I was just, those kind of things, they're like really nice. They're like neat little gags. There was always something to kind of keep me entertained. I just felt overall it could do with just a tightening. Not there was nothing I would lose specifically. Yeah. It could just to keep it rolling along. So you kind of had first act California, second act Europe, third act California. If you sort of kept it moving along, I also think that probably a second watch of this movie would be much better because I'll know what's coming. I think with this one, the first watch, you kind of get 45, 50 minutes into the movie, and you're like, well, how are they, what's happening now? Because 50 minutes into the movie, he hasn't become, he hasn't started using his paintball stuff yet. He hasn't become a spy accomplice yet. Like, him becoming or utilizing his skill to kind of become the teen agent, that doesn't happen until the sort of third act of the movie when he kind of turns the tables on everyone else. And when that happens, you're back on familiar territory. You're like, off we go. Here we go. It's a teenage, thing, and it's action, and he's going to turn the tables and, whatever. But there's that bit sort of about 50 minutes into the movie, around the hour mark maybe, where you're just like, well, nothing from his side has happened yet. And because the movie does break with convention, and it does break with the other 3 movies that we've watched as part of this series. This isn't If Looks Could Kill. This isn't Never Too Young to Die. This is a real attempt at a serious story about these goings on, and with comments on communism in Eastern Europe and Russia and America and all that good stuff. So, and I just wasn't expecting that, I guess. So when you watch it for the first time, I think, I was expecting like, a kid who knows how to do paintball goes to Europe, gets embroiled in a thing, and sort of, Richard Grieco's it or whatever. Like, I think that's what I was expecting. So with that expectation, then the movie flipped that, and I was pleasantly surprised by that. But I also think because then I was like, oh wait, because I don't know now what's happening, I've got to kind of shift gears mid-movie, and maybe I felt like that's when, for me, it dragged a little bit, just because I was trying to realign my brain as to, well, this clearly isn't going to be what I think it's going to be. Do you know what I mean by that? Yep. So I'm laying the blame at myself more than the movie. But I did enjoy it. Kim and I watched it last night, and we did enjoy it. And I definitely see what you mean. The first act and the last act have some really good speed to it and pace to it, and sort of teen comedy aspects to it, and then the middle is just unexpected because you're not really the person having the espionage thriller bit is Sasha, and we as the audience are Anthony Edwards kind of going, wait, what's happening, and is he really part of it? Is she really honest with him? Do they love each other? If you were a spy, would you really go as far as she goes? Because you really believe their love story. Like, you do believe that it's one thing having sex with, if you're a spy, that sort of James Bond thing of, well, I'll have sex with you to get something from you and then move on. But the montage implies that they spend some days together. They really sort of start falling for each other. And you don't need to do that if your only plan is just to use him. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel like the movie was trying to sell me more on the love story, which I liked. But then that made it harder to be like, well, wait, what's happening with her then? You know what I mean? Right. But it was good. It was good. I'm glad you liked it. I did. I liked that. I liked Alex Rocco was fantastic. Didn't know he was going to be in it. Love Alex Rocco. Yeah, the parents are a bright spot for me. Oh yeah. What's the gag I texted you last night? Mom, Al. Yeah. That was that whole bit. There's some great. Don't say mom. Yeah. You say mom. You say Al, and then the whole thing comes out of my pocket. Yeah. I love it. You're going to learn a hell of a lot more working in the real world than you will chasing skirts around Pomona. Yeah. Pamplona, Pomona. I don't care if it's Cleveland. You're not going. It's out of the question. He's so good. Alex
Yeah,
Rocco
it is.
could read the phone book and make it funny. I love Alex Rocco.
I also, I think I mentioned it in the last episode, but when that he crashes into that car, because he thinks it's a KGB
he thinks a Russian
guy,
spy because it's like
I
some
thought it was KGB
old
from Russia.
Yeah,
he's a CPA from Encino. What are you, crazy?
You're on drugs. Get yourself into a rehab.
Puts cocaine on his cornflakes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love that he just runs off a whole bunch of stuff. He's just like, I've been freebasing. I've been, I've been intravenously. I've been doing it. He just runs off any words he can think of that are to do
go
with
meet my
drugs.
connection.
I also liked there was some very nice bits in the script where I got to think twice. Oh, so the Manolo and him back and forth about, Manolo says something to him when he goes off to score with the Swiss chick.
Yeah.
And I'm forgetting it right now, but then Anthony Edwards repeats it to him back once he's learned the lessons of love with Linda Fiorentino, and it works really nicely. There's like a nice little callback, and I'm going to forget what the back and forth is, like 2 or 3 lines, and
I remember what it is. Manolo is like she thinks I'm Carlos the terrorist. I can't be seen with a guy who looks like Bambi.
Right.
And then Jonathan is like, hey man, no offense, but she likes guys who look like Bambi. I can't be seen with Carlos the terrorist.
Yeah, no, that's it. Right. I really like that.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, so when they first meet Linda Fiorentino and Anthony Edwards in the tobacco, the cafe or whatever they're in Paris, he's trying to impress her. She sees through his lies. He tells her the truth, mainly because she's either being honest or she's trying to trick him. But she asks, "Are you a virgin?" He tries to play the big man and blah 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 blah, and then she flips that on its head by going, "Well, actually, I like virgins." And she's like, "How old are you? Are you 20, whatever?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm 24 and I'm a big guy and blah, blah, blah." And she's like, "Oh, I like teenagers without hair on their chest." And so he has to go, "Well, no, actually, I'm 18." And it's good because it kind of flips it on its head. And you don't know. I mean, she may just be saying it to say it. She may be saying it to call him out. But she says, "That's 2 lies. Don't let there be a third." And then right at the end of the movie, when there's the twist, he's talking to Linda Fiorentino, and she's revealing, or she's lying to him and then revealing some truths about herself ultimately. And he's like, "There's 2 lies. Don't let there be a third." And it was just a really nice callback. So I like that when scripts do that. I like when scripts bother to have a couple of word plays that kind of, either reverse or are flipped. Later in the movie. So I thought that was really neat about the film. I liked that a lot. I loved like all the fact that they bothered to get as close to East Germany as they could. And they were filming it right near the Berlin Wall. In fact, they had to replicate a small section of the Berlin Wall a few feet away because they weren't allowed to film at the real wall. I like the German punk gang.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up.
That he gets in the van with.
We love it. We love it.
Yeah, they were all quoting Randy Newman's song, which is just fantastic. I like the policeman. He meets outside the butcher's shop. He's great. When he's talking about the his girlfriend or whatever. I mean, all of that stuff was done really well. I just think a little bit of tightening and it would have been, it would have been a 5-star probably.
Sure.
But definitely worth of what is. Anthony Edwards always good bang for your buck.
Yeah.
I never forget, like you, I was a fan of the early series of ER. And then always thinking, like, whatever happened to that dude? And then Zodiac shows up, and he's, like, amazing in Zodiac. And you're like, why is he not in 100 more things? You know what I mean? Why is Anthony Edwards not doing more things? So it is directed by Jeff Kanew. Not spelled how you would think, but Kanew rather than Canoe. Canoe, who is known for Revenge of the Nerds, and this is interesting. He edited Eddie Macon's Run, and wasn't that directed by? Oh, he also directed Eddie Macon's Run as well. Okay, I thought that was okay. I'm getting confused, but okay. So he did Ordinary People as an editor for Robert Redford, and he's an editor as much as he is a director by the looks of it. But he did Eddie Macon's Run with Kirk Douglas, Revenge of the Nerds, Gotcha. He did V.I. Wachowski.
Oh, you like that one?
Which is I've never seen it. It's just a movie.
Oh, really?
It's a poster that I've seen 100 times, and I never forget.
I've never seen it either.
I never forget it because I remember looking at the poster, being like, "Who would name a movie V.I. Watch?" Like, I couldn't even before I moved to America. I couldn't even pronounce that. English people can't say those like American Polish names. They just don't. Yeah. It just doesn't come out.
That's Kathleen Turner, right?
V.I. Shaw Ski. Like, what's going on there? Like, we can't say it. But in America, you're like, V.I. Wachowski. You know what you want. Never seen it. I've seen the poster. I've seen the trailer a couple of times.
Same.
I've always wanted to see it, but I'm like, what a terrible name for a movie.
I just used to see it in the video store all the time.
All the time. A real video store thing. So, and then after that, does a couple of things here and there, but
a few Revenge of the Nerds Easter eggs.
Yeah, and it's few Revenge of the Nerds Easter eggs in this movie. Gotcha, including the letters AB.
Yep.
He's wearing a red sweatshirt with the letters AB on it, which is
when the guys throw the football through his window.
The Alpha Betas.
Send the bill to the Betas.
Yeah. What's interesting? Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say. I actually stumbled upon so my wife is from Los Angeles. We frequently go out there to visit, vacation, and whatnot. And every time I'm out there, I'm always keeping my eyes open for filming locations and stuff like that. And the exterior of his apartment, Anthony Edwards' character's apartment in this movie, is actually one that I kind of stumbled upon. We ventured into the UCLA area to do something else, and we drove by the building, and I recognized it.
It's one of those great like 1920s, 1930s apartment complexes that are litter LA, and they're great. Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
See, it's funny. Rather than, although I know that obviously those buildings are prominent in the film noirs of the 30s and early 40s, I always just think Roger Rabbit. Whenever I think of the that era of that Art Deco film noir kind of era of LA, I just think Roger Rabbit. I don't know why. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just or more recently I really liked the Perry Mason prequel that they did on HBO with that takes place in the 30s, I think, early 40s.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot they did that. I do have to make mention of one other movie that Jeff Canoe directed, and that's one of my favorites. I used to watch it constantly with my mother and my sister. Troop Beverly Hills, which I have to imagine Kim has seen that movie and really loves it.
Troop Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Does that have... Oh, no, it's not what I was thinking. It's the Shelley Long movie. Okay.
Yeah.
I have not seen it, and I don't know if Kim has seen it. She may have seen it.
I have to imagine she has. I think it's in her wheelhouse.
Kim is a huge fan of Cheers, and which obviously Shelley Long, and a huge fan of Craig T. Nelson.
I'm pretty sure she's probably seen it.
And there was a Craig T. Nelson connection with the next movie, Never Too Young to Die, because of Vanity, because Craig T. Nelson plays the bad guy in Action Jackson, which is just hilarious, because you can't imagine Craig T. Nelson going toe-to-toe with Carl Weathers, but he does. He even throws a few martial arts kicks in that movie. What the hey? Him throwing martial arts kicks, what's all that about? But he does. And of course Vanity is in that movie as well, and co-stars in Never Too Young to Die, the following movie. What is interesting about Gotcha, sir, that ties in also to Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger, there was an attempt to, as we discussed last show, make a computer game that ultimately failed. And they only did a couple of Atari upright games, arcade games.
Yep.
However, Nintendo Entertainment System, according to IMDb Trivia, put out a video game of the movie called Gotcha the Sport in 1987, a couple of years after the film first debuted.
Correct. And I want to say that I rented it one time to play it, and it was not very good.
No, it's a capture the flag style game that was made in the shooter genre. I don't think anyone's ever heard of it. But interesting that while Cloak and Dagger is entirely about computer games, or at least the idea of the Atari computer games, you would think the perfect tie-in to do an Atari computer game. That one failed. They did not do that. Gotcha, on the other hand, Nintendo were all in on a video game of the movie.
Heck yeah.
Even though, as I say, it's a movie that you know and love very well. I'm sure it has its fans, but it's certainly not one that I'm aware of is in the zeitgeist of our generation. It's not like a Goonies or something that has sort of stood the test of time or gets mentioned frequently. It's, even something like If Looks Could Kill or whatever was something that, most people I've heard, discuss or know of that movie or aware of that movie. But, but also, I mean, it goes to say that this particular genre, while we love it and we know it, weirdly not a popular genre. Like these four movies we're covering, as I say, have their fans. People are aware of them. There's certain nostalgia connected to them. I'm sure everyone has at least one of them on a VHS they recorded off TV at some point in their lives if they're our age. But none of them were huge successes. None of them were box office successes. And none of them have stood the test of time in the sense of, a Stand By Me, Breakfast Club, you name your kind of coming of age drama movie, Goonies, Monster Squad. Any of those have kind of, are still as popular, whereas these were less than that. But that doesn't make a lot of sense considering how good they're all good movies. Like all of them have their thing, right? I
agree. Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I maybe it had. I don't know. I was going to try to explain it, but I don't think I can. I mean, it's each of the four films. The cast is fairly unknown. I think when you look at stuff like The Goonies or Stand By Me, the cast members of those films went on to do very, very large things.
Yeah.
I mean, even what's his name from Cloak and Dagger? What's his Thomas? Ian Thomas?
Henry Thomas.
Henry Thomas. He didn't really have much of a career past his younger self.
Yeah.
And then, Richard Grieco didn't have much of a career after, 21 Jump Street and If Looks Could Kill.
And even John Stamos, who would go on to have a fantastic career on television.
Yeah.
The movie Never Too Young to Die, which he thought was going to springboard him into movie stardom.
Franchise.
Did not.
Nope.
So this is what you're trying to say is this genre that we know and love dearly is the death knell of a career.
I guess.
Did the kids from Robert Rodriguez's Spy Kids ever go on to do anything else?
I don't think so. The girl maybe a little bit, but I don't know who the kid is either. Isn't the kid, what's his name from the Twilight movies? No, I don't think so. I don't know. I have no idea.
One of the key scenes in this movie, which I was like, I wonder how they're going to bring this back. And sure enough, they did, was the tiger sequence where a veterinary school at a middling American college in California, it's certainly
Dean
not
Ulick.
They bring in a fully live tiger in a cage, unsupervised. There's not even a zoologist there or a zoo handler or an animal handler or anything. Just a chemist who is about to explain the tranquilizer dart to everyone. If you are going to be a vet to a zoo, then you should be prepared to tranquilize a tiger. This is the lesson we walk in this movie, which is one of those things, again, mostly serious movie, mostly takes place in a world that I'll go, okay, that was a reality at one point. Yeah. But do you think, Scott, that in veterinary school they ever wheeled in a tiger
I doubt it.
and put it up on a bench in an amphitheater? Surely they would have gone to the zoo and had an experienced zoologist say, this is how we look after tigers when the vets come in.
Well, it's funny that because the teacher who played by I can't remember the actor's name, but he played the dean in Revenge of the Nerds.
Yes.
What was his name? I can look it up real quick here. David Wohl.
David Wohl
played Dean Ulick in Revenge of the Nerds. Yeah, he plays the teacher here. He actually says in the movie, normally we don't get a specimen of this caliber for a freshman class,
right?
But blah 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 blah.
Right.
But yeah, no, that's pretty wild. Go ahead, make my day.
Yeah, but it's just one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, it's an 80s movie that's set in college. We've got to expect at least one scene that makes you go, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
You have one scene that makes your head spin around.
Yeah.
And not have any idea. So
the other funny thing too that I'm just realizing as I'm going through the IMDb credits is that Jonathan definitely has a type, because the two girls that he approaches on college campus are both beautiful, blonde hair, blue-eyed women.
Yeah.
And then he ends up hooking up with Linda Fiorentino, who's dark hair, dark eyes, completely different from what he was going for when he was at school. I found that pretty interesting.
But listen, you have to when you find a woman like Fiorentino, it can't just be about your narrow-minded view of the feminine form. You have to embrace all types.
I would kill or die to make love to you.
He is an utter.
Who would say that?
He is an utter cheeseball in this movie. He is an utter cheeseball. He's a virgin cheeseball. But I did love it, and
I'm glad you liked it.
And remember, Scott, never smuggle pornography through Eastern Europe.
Do not do it. And there's never anything hidden in the strudel.
Strudel is fine. You can smuggle strudel, but not pornography, which says all you need to know about communism and why it would never work.
Yep.
If a key tenet of communism is I'm sorry and not allowed pornography, nope, sorry, you lost me. That's don't understand that. Anyway, all good. Any more on Gotcha, sir, and anything you want to say about it or recommend?
I don't think so. Just Dad, I can't just take this down to the photo mat. It's got spy shit on it.
It's got spy shit on it.
Great lines and great scenes. And what about Bo Derek? You ever meet her? They think because he's from LA, he knows all the celebrities. And
I love that a celebrity in 1985 that East German punks would ask you if you'd seen would be Bo Derek.
That JR is one bad dude. I'm just it's such good stuff. I just I love it. Love the movie.
Fantastic.
I'm glad that you liked it too.
Lots of parallels apparently with the Bond films that were coming out of the time.
View to a Kill, I think.
View to a Kill, and
Yep.
License to Kill. Living Daylights would feature paintball a couple of years later in an opening training sequence.
Forgot about that. That's correct.
So a lot of Bond fans watched Gotcha.
Gotcha started it all, man.
Yeah. Gotcha was the original. Well, there we go. Gotcha from 1985, starring Anthony Edwards and Linda Fiorentino. If you want to check it out, there is a Blu-ray from Kino Lorber, and this podcast anyway says, go buy it.
Yes.
Or find it on eBay on VHS if you are of the retro persuasion.
There you go.
Oops, sorry. I wasn't ready. I was busy pickling some fish. I like pickling things. Fish, vegetables, running shoes. Anyway. Apologies. We sadly have to pause for some ads. Maybe if more of you supported us on Patreon. But there it is. The After Movie Diner doesn't endorse any of these advertisers. We don't even know what you're going to hear. It's forced technical AI wizardry. And don't fool yourself. None of us are in control. The robots are coming, and they want to sell us insurance.
All right, moving on. 1986, the very next year, we are on to Never Too Young to Die, starring the wonderful Johnny Stamos. Stamos and Vanity and Gene Motherflubbin Simmons of all fucking people. This one is a wild one.
Yes, sir.
Scott, as this was a new one for you, do you want to make an attempt at the storyline to try?
I'll give it a shot.
Let people know what's going on here.
I'll give it a shot.
All right, dude, go ahead. The floor is yours.
John Stamos, our good friend, also most people know him from Full House, but he also had a stint on ER, so there's a little connection between this one and Gotcha.
Yeah.
Plays a gymnastics student at it looked to me like it was like almost like a private high school. But maybe it was a private
I think it's meant to be
or,
a college, but then they have a parents' day, which seems to me something that you would more do in high school.
I feel like it's probably like a private high school, like
which makes what happens later on even weirder. Okay,
like a what the heck would they call it? I don't know. Not a military school, but like because it's also it seems to be that there's all boys at the school too, which I think is more of a common thing with.
It is with boarding
high
schools.
Schools, yes. Boarding school, exactly.
And actually, he would be at a boarding school because he's essentially has an absentee father and a dead mother.
Yeah.
Because his father is none other than George Lazenby, former James Bond George Lazenby, super spy Stargrove.
And so, I mean, I saw a lot of parallels between this and If Looks Could Kill, a lot of similarities.
Yes.
Stamos and Grieco. Stamos and Grieco kind of have a similar look, although I will say that Stamos is the better looking of the two, especially nowadays. Yeah. They have a similar look. They play high schoolers. An older agent type character is involved. There's a little bit of a storyline of poisoning people in both films. So Stamos' character just kind of gets wrapped up in a thing when his dad, who little does he know is actually like a super spy.
Yep.
And his dad is on his latest assignment, just kind of goes haywire, and he ends up biting the bullet, and Stamos gets pulled in.
Well, they're trying to.
I'm so bad at plot.
No, I mean this movie is. I mean, I really threw you a curveball by trying to get you to describe the plot of this movie because this movie is insane. I mean, we need to start off by saying of the four movies, this movie is just fucking bananas.
Yep.
You've got to imagine a cross between Rocky Horror Picture Show, Jim Carter, If Looks Could Kill, and Mad Max. I mean, it's bananas from start to finish.
That about covers it.
You've got it's the only one of the movies that sort of features a James Bond. So Drew Stargrove is played by George Lazenby, the one-time only Antipodean Bond, the only time Bond has not been played by someone from the British Isles. He was Australian, Lazenby, back in the day, and never got a second part in Bond because he refused to cut his hair and was also drinking too much and doing a lot of drugs. It also features a very small and random cameo by Robert Englund, who was just gearing up to be Freddy, right? He hadn't yet been Freddy. Is the first Nightmare 87, or am I wrong about that?
I'm not sure. I feel like it was earlier than that.
Oh, maybe he's already been Freddy then.
Maybe it was 87.
No, I'm wrong. Nightmare on Elm Street was 84, so he had already done.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
He'd already done 3 Nightmare on Elm Street. 2 Nightmare on Elm Street.
He must have owed somebody a favor.
Yeah, very odd that he would show up. But the 4 main players are John Stamos as Lance Stargrove, Vanity as Danger Deering, Gene Simmons as Velvet von Ragnar, which is the bad guy's character, and Peter Kwong as Cliff, who is awesome. You know Kwong from such classics as Big Trouble in Little China and The Golden Child, not to mention Gleaming the Cube, another lost classic of the 80s that also stars Christian Slater.
Let's a quick little detour here. Something happened with The Golden Child where they didn't. Did they delay the release of it because of Big Trouble in Little China or something like that? I thought I read that somewhere before. And then it's
quite possibly.
And it's funny to me that Peter Kwong's in both of them.
He's in both.
I'll just interject right off the bat here and say that Gene Simmons, for me, steals the entire movie.
Oh, I mean, he doesn't just ham it up.
God.
He bacon wrapped, boiled, hammed, shoved in a pig's ass.
Hell yeah.
And then thrown
there's
at a wall.
Tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. This is the only movie I'm ever going to be in. So let's just fucking go, dude.
Yeah.
And he famously hates this movie.
Hates it.
And hates his performance.
Yeah.
I think he's fantastic in it. He made the movie for me.
Well, because there are 2 types of people, right? There are the Tim Currys in the world who, when offered Rocky Horror, Pennywise in It, the devil in Legend, whatever it is, goes, I don't care what this role is. I am playing it to the cheap seats, and you are going, and I'm going to fucking love it. Yeah. And then there are people like Gene Simmons who, at the time, I'm telling you, he was enjoying himself.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way that at the time he thought he was doing a bad job.
Nope.
I think that is a case of when people would mention it to him, he was embarrassed by it. Yeah. But he's not.
Well, I mean, it didn't do well. The movie didn't do well. I mean,
no.
If you read the Wikipedia, it says that the movie was all but forgotten until Shout Factory put it out on Blu-ray a couple years ago. So
so it did have So I actually learned about which I find funny because I learned about this movie from our mutual good friend Mosef Porn, or Mo von Helveter as he goes now, goes by now. Way back when, probably 7 or 8 years ago now, so before the Blu-ray came out, he had it on the VH, so we watched it on that. And this was a movie that Mo made me aware of, and he was like, "Oh, I can't believe you haven't seen this. You're gonna love this." And yeah, it's there's another world where because John Stamos has said about this movie that he thought this was going to be like the young James Bond. It was going to start a franchise. Blah 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 blah. There's a world where they should have made it more of a young James Bond. In this movie, what they try and do is, so his college roommate, Kwong, is a gadgets guy, is always building like random gadgets.
Yep.
So that's where they get the gadgets thing into it. He has a love affair with Vanity in the movie, so she's the kind of woman, but there's no him putting on tuxedos and trying to wow other women and walking into a casino. There's no Bond structure to it either. They've gone, we need like a crazy villain, but no Bond villain is ever this, pamper mimic and ridiculous. This is so. This is like the scenes with Gene Simmons as Velvet von Ragnar in this movie are like if Rocky Horror Picture Show collided with the pagan scenes in Dragnet, Dan Aykroyd's Dragnet. In fact, I think when we first meet him, that amphitheater is the same amphitheater where they filmed the Virgin Connie Swales attack in Dragnet, the famous Dan Aykroyd, Tom Hanks classic. that I love. But he has, so Velvet von Ragnar is, by all accounts, an independently wealthy, but like later on in the movie, like he admits he's got lots of money and he's going to get lots more. I'm like, well, you already have lots of money. Like, what's all this about? He has no reason for doing it. He's going to poison the water supply of California for no reason. He is either helped or hindered in this by essentially like a kind of biker gang, but they also drive like these dune buggy style cars with skulls and skins and stuff strapped onto it, like they're Mad Max 2 Road Warrior guys. But this is meant to take place in, you know, a world where people do gymnastics in high school and have, you know, Parents' Day, and this doesn't take place on like the moon or in the future or the post-apocalypse. So I don't know what they're doing. Were there a lot of gangs driving around California in Mad Max style dune buggies in '85? I
don't have to ask my wife's parents.
Yeah, maybe they were a part of this. But yeah, so he's sort of preaching to these, but he doesn't like these guys. He's always calling them like scum and
he definitely talks down to them,
idiots and whatever.
Yeah.
He has a bodyguard / monster / potential love interest based on the end of the movie called Pyramid, who looks, as I described last episode, as if a horse was made human. I mean, he's ridiculous looking.
The only movie he's ever been in, Ed Brock.
That's the Ed Brock?
Yep, Ed Brock.
He looks as if Rambo was released as like what was that toy a Stretch Armstrong?
Yeah.
He looks as if Rambo was released as a Stretch Armstrong toy and an insane child bent him out of all shape and then made him into a human using weird science technology. That's what he looks like. I'm not even kidding. He looks like
No, that's accurate. That's accurate.
That's what he looks like. He looks like as if a horse was made human. He's utterly ridiculous. He's Ragnar's right-hand horse. Wow. So the fact that Stamos and Vanity become lovers in the movie is made even weirder now by the fact that you pointed out that it's definitely a boarding school and not a college.
Yeah. Well, maybe he's 18. I don't know.
Yeah, but even then, it's like... It's borderline, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
Because Vanity...
Well, I mean, John, in Gotcha, Anthony Edwards, he's only a freshman in college, so he even says he's 18.
And but he's 18 and she's 24.
Sasha says she's 24. So hey, look at this, 2 movies where the tables have turned here.
There's some credit robbing going on by the ladies.
A little bit.
Because Vanity is a secret agent, not only a secret agent, but has been a secret agent long enough to have known his dad. So she's been in the what do they call it? The company. They call it throughout the movie, I think.
Yeah.
For a while. So it's all baffling. Ragnar's trying to... And they also say Ragnar has reemerged, as if he used to be a scourge, but has come back again. There's no explanation of really what's going on or why anyone would bother with this hermaphrodite. That's the other thing, is he's a hermaphrodite, or they are a hermaphrodite, which is a completely unnecessary detail in the movie.
The best of both worlds, he says, right? Doesn't he?
Yes.
The fingernail. I love the fingernail.
The fingernail is incredible.
Pretty great.
My favorite thing is the song that Gene Simmons performs at the drag club, where the end of every line, none of the lines rhyme, but the end of every line is just, like yeah.
I will say some of the music in the movie was actually not bad.
Except the main theme, Stargrove, which is fucking abysmal.
Yeah.
But again, Gotcha and this movie both have theme songs.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha has a theme song. And I remember this.
Gotcha's is a little better.
Gotcha's is a little better, but I remember watching the credits.
Teresa Bazar, I think, sings it.
Credits to Gotcha, and I'm like, isn't it amazing that back in the 80s, a movie like this, which was relatively a low budget, I can't imagine Gotcha was a huge budget movie. A relative low budget movie based on an obscure college campus game and the Cold War gets its own theme song. Like, it's just incredible.
That's a good point, actually.
That someone was like, oh, well, we've got to write a song for that. Gotcha, whatever. Like, you know, we've got to write a song for that. But then Never Too Young to Die, you get Stargrove, the main theme. And I'm like, there was some... But this is what I love about the 80s, right?
Yeah.
The movie makes no sense. It rattles along at an incredible pace. There's gadgets, there's nudity, there's violence. That's the other thing.
I was surprised by the nudity, if I can be honest.
It's R-rated. Like, there's why you would make a movie like this R-rated. I mean, I tell you what it's like. It's as if Hot Shots Part 2 wasn't a parody. Imagine if Hot Shots Part 2 took itself seriously. That's this movie. Because it's not a parody. It's just insane.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it definitely is trying to be something.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's weird because if, you know, like when Spielberg and Chris Columbus did the young Sherlock Holmes, while they certainly took some liberties with the mythology of Sherlock Holmes, when you watched it, you're like, right, that's the young Sherlock Holmes. There were fantasy elements to it. There was, you know, dreams and mad dreams and weird sequences and whatever. But they were all explained by, you know, poisons that came from deepest, darkest Africa and whatever, which is in all over Sherlock Holmes. The Sherlock Holmes stories that all feature, you know, there's a pygmy in one of them that brings a blow dart in one of the Sherlock Holmes stories. So it was all in keeping with this. Yeah. If your hope was to make Stargrove kind of a young James Bond thing, you couldn't have more wildly veered off the page.
Nah, dude, it was a huge whiff. It was a huge whiff.
They just went if
it's like A for effort, but oof.
Yeah, it just goes all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, it just goes all over the place. And if we tell you that the big reveal is, and I can tell you, but the big reveal is that Gene Simmons plays dual roles as a ginger bearded like army colonel,
and you can tell that it's just glued on.
Yeah, it's so
face, the beard
bad.
Yeah,
but the big reveal is, you know, what's his name in the movie? He's Carruthers. That's it. He's like, Carruthers, you were Velvet von Ragnar the whole time.
They couldn't tell.
It was just I just don't know what they were thinking.
Carruthers.
I just don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah,
and when you look up the writers, they've not written really anything else of any note. And in fact, the main screenwriter has really done very little at all. Tony Foots.
Stephen Paul. What about Stephen Paul?
Yeah, well, Stephen Paul went on to become a producer, a very successful producer.
Okay.
Who most recently produced the controversial Ghost in the Shell live version
with what's her name? Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
he also is a producer on
Baby Geniuses,
on the Expendables franchise, on the lucrative Tekken. Baby Geniuses franchise.
Jesus Christ. Talk about somebody who's just failed upwards.
Right? I knew about Baby Geniuses like 1, 2, and 3. I did not know there was like Baby Geniuses and the Mystery of the Crown Jewels and Baby Geniuses and the Treasure of Egypt. I had no idea about that. That's incredible to me. And it's incredible to me how like someone in Hollywood can veer from producing Ghost Rider 1 and 2 to Baby Geniuses to Expendables 4 to Ghost in the Shell. Like, he's all over the place.
Yeah, that's crazy.
In what he's producing. But it makes sense.
Did you see that the director also directed this movie called Night Vision with your girl Cynthia Rothrock?
He did. Yeah. One of Cynthia Rothrock's worst movies. She does get to work.
Bushwick Bill in it, though.
It's got Robert Forster and it's got Fred Williamson in it, but not a good movie. Sadly,
I'll take it off my list.
Well, I mean, you know, you can watch it, but no. So Stamos was all in on this movie.
Yeah, and he's fine. He's John Stamos. He's quick-witted, handsome, whatever.
But no, he was like in reality, he was all into this movie. He thought this was going to be his huge break.
Yeah.
He was, he trained to become a gymnast for this movie.
Yep. That's pretty wild, actually.
Which is phenomenal. He said that meeting Vanity was quite a trip. She was in the midst of her sort of, let's just say, enjoying of the libations and the drugs at the time.
Yeah. I just want to take a quick second and say that Vanity, like, I'm sorry, but the teenage boy is going to come out in me right now.
Go do it. Vanity,
she, like, out of a 10, yeah, she's like a fucking 15, dude. She like, I mean, even in, I know her best from The Last Dragon. I'd actually never seen her in any other movies before.
Oh, The Last Dragon. And The Last Dragon is another one where
she's great.
Like,
she's great in it.
She's great. It's fantastic.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, she's so gorgeous.
But again, it doesn't make a lick of sense. But you go with it. It's such a great movie.
But she's gorgeous. I don't know a lot about her. I don't know her.
She came from
her
Prince.
Background.
She came from Prince. She was a dancer for Prince.
Okay.
So she had a couple of songs, I believe,
on the soundtrack for this.
She is a Canadian model.
Canadian.
She is part of old girl group Vanity 6.
Wow.
I believe she was discovered by Prince. I believe.
What was the name of the girl group?
Vanity 6.
6 SIX.
No, just the number 6.
Okay.
She is from Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada.
Wow.
She is of African American and German descent. And she is now sadly passed away.
Yep. A couple of years ago, right?
She quit acting in 95 and became a born-again Christian.
Okay.
And denounced her former life as a sultry...
Well, that's too bad.
...performer of weird and wonderful female characters who rarely wore bras.
Yeah. Yeah, so back to that. I was very, very... I don't know why, but I was just... I didn't expect that. Probably because... I don't know. It probably has to do with the fact that I don't know much about her filmography, and I had never seen her in any other movies aside from The Last Dragon. And obviously she doesn't take her top off in The Last Dragon. So when it happened in this movie, I was like, "Whoa, really?" Also because I thought this movie was probably more of a PG-13 type of romp in a way. So that was surprising to me that there was a little bit of nudity in this. But yeah,
apparently, when she met John Stamos, in no time at all, as he said in an interview about this movie, back when this movie was lost, I want to say that Hollywood Reporter did an article on it, I think in 04, 05, and asked Stamos and Gene Simmons about it. And Stamos was fine with it. Mm-hmm. He hopes that this becomes the cult film that he always wanted it to. He thinks it would be fun if it became a cult film.
Yeah.
And it has, certainly within our small group. But Gene Simmons, as you say, hates that he was in it. Every time it comes up, a fan asks him about it. He's like, "You saw that piece of shit?" Like, he's not in it at all.
Too cool for school.
Vanity never responded to Hollywood Reporter's request for interviews in 04.
Well, she was beyond that stuff at that point.
She was beyond that stuff at that point.
I can give her a pass.
So we don't know what she thought about it.
Yeah.
But Stamos was all in on it. Gene Simmons gives this wild performance.
I love that Stamos still, still wants it to become a cult classic. You know what I mean? Because because of where he's at in his career status now, it would be so easy for him to be just do the Clooney and be like, "Oh, Batman and Robin, that's fucking terrible," blah blah blah. Right. But I like that he kind of embraces it.
Yeah. Well, at least Clooney backs up like Return of the Killer Tomatoes. Like Clooney at least will say positive things about that, but he'll say negative things about shit that he doesn't like.
Yeah.
Helen Hunt, equally a big fan of having started out in trances, does not deny her trances beginnings.
Good for her.
Came back for Trances 3, even though she was... Even though she was already on Mad About You and had starred in a few made-for-TV movies that had... she still came back and did Trances 2 and 3, baby. Helen Hunt loving B-movie days.
I go back to The Quarterback Princess.
Quarterback Princess.
Helen Hunt. That's
just talking about that the other day. I found that on DVD for Kim.
Wow.
There is a VHS rip DVD out there that I found, officially put out, but it's still just a rip of the VHS. And I got that for, I think, a Christmas or a birthday or something for Kim. She's a fan of that movie.
I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember it.
But yeah, Helen Hunt with her trances days. But no, I mean, Vanity, for the movies she was in, 52 Pickup with Roy Scheider. She's in Action Jackson with Carl Weathers.
I got to see that. I haven't seen that.
That is another phenomenally baffling movie. She's in...
nice.
She's in Last Dragon, as we mentioned, which was Barry Gordy production.
One of my favorites.
With Tamac.
I love Tamac. Yeah, heck yeah.
Who I've met. I've met Tamac.
I want to meet him.
Good guy is Tamac. He was at the Urban Action Showcase the year that I and Owen Friel from the Action Elite website were both there, and we met Cynthia Rothrock, Tamac.
I remember that. I remember seeing the pictures.
Don the Dragon Wilson and Gloria Hendry, Bond girl from Live and Let Die back in the day.
Did you know that Tamac was the first celebrity guest referee for one of the first UFC?
I did not know that.
Events. No. Yeah, I think it was UFC 2. He was like the celebrity guest referee.
And what I love about that movie, The Last Dragon, is that both Tamac and Vanity go by one name.
I know.
You know what I mean?
It's so good.
It's so good. And they could get away with it. Very few people share Madonna, Vanity, Tamac. There's not many else
Seal.
out there. Seal. Sade.
Ooh. Good Lord. Good Lord.
But no, Vanity, definitely a smoke show.
Yeah.
And game for anything, it seems.
Yeah, for sure. Totally. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I cannot imagine the scene where Gene Simmons puts his 8-foot tongue into her mouth. I cannot imagine how sick I would have felt.
I can't believe that even happened. I can't believe she allowed that.
Yeah.
I actually rewound it and watched it again because I couldn't believe that it was.
Do you think she even knew he was going to do that, or he just did it?
I don't know.
It's disgusting.
I mean, as you said, she was at the height of her, user era, apparently. So,
but that doesn't mean that Gene Simmons could just take advantage of her mouth in that way.
Maybe she was just like, well, it's Gene Simmons from Kiss, it's an iconic tongue, so might as well just let it go wherever it wants.
I mean, it's absolutely a horrible, sweaty pink leviathan tongue.
Oh God, yeah, that was a wild scene for sure.
So yeah, the movie's absolutely. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Bonkers, but it's fun. Yeah. This is a movie that barrels along. You're not waiting around for stuff to happen.
Yep.
Horseman is tearing up a barn. Someone else is blowing up a nightclub. Vanity is being strapped to a smelting table.
For me, the one section of the movie where it really slowed down for me and just became kind of like, what are we doing here? And you might laugh at this, but it was the
seduction scene.
Yes. Yeah, it's just like
because you're watching it and you're like
he goes in, he comes out, he goes in, he comes out, he goes in, he comes out. It's like it just takes a long time.
Well, so what happens is, to set the scene for people listening, Carruthers, also known as Velvet Von Ragnar, working for the company, says we will use Vanity and Stamos as pawns to attract Ragnar to the thing, which is really just Carruthers saying, I'm going to hang around this kid and hope that he reveals where the disc is, because the whole movie, Ragnar wants this disc that apparently controls this thing that's going to let them put poison in the water supply. for no. Also, he's apparently going to hold the city to ransom before putting them to putting poison in the water supply. But he never does that. He never like sends a ransom to anyone. He never tells any city officials. No one ever gets involved. He's just about to poison the water supply. Like there's no. I don't know how he plans to get money for it or anything like that. The whole thing is weird. But anyway, he says, let's go back to Stargrove's farm in Ojai, right? He said there's a farm in Ojai. And he watches with binoculars as Vanity and Stamos mill about on the deck. And then they have this moment where Vanity is sort of saying like, but I love you and it's, I like you a lot and it's more to me than just this spy thing that we're embroiled in and da-da-da-da-da. And he goes to kiss her and then he thinks better of it and he kind of wanders off. So she's like, wait a minute, no man turns me down. And she wanders off, gets into a skimpy outfit, then takes that outfit off to reveal an even skimpier bikini, lies down on a lounger, a deck lounger, and proceeds to oil herself up. And while she's oiling herself up, Stamos has a bit of business that is meant to be him resisting her. It's meant to be this whole thing where she is like, oh, no, you don't, Mr. Stamos. Yep. We are going to be making the beast with two backs, whether you like it or not.
Yep.
And he's like, I don't know about that. So he's trying to hang around. He drinks a bottle of Perrier. He bites into an apple. I mean,
2 apples.
2 apples. There's no real thought into it. It's just Stamos, go into the kitchen, grab something, come out.
Yeah.
Go back into the kitchen, grab something else, come out, while trying to resist Vanity. The whole thing goes on too long. It's meant to be this sort of comical seduction, but neither of them are really adept at comedy. Yeah. So it just comes across as a sort of, it's cringeworthy is sort of what it is. Because you want to be aroused by Vanity, but then it cuts to Stamos eating an apple and you're like, oh, no, I'm not aroused anymore. Yeah. Sorry, go.
So, I mean, I was watching at work. So I had to, but this was where I stopped it because I was just like, oh, I'm kind of bored right now, so I'll just stop it here. And then I picked it up again the next night.
Having fast forwarded through the frolicking, or
no, I watched all the frolicking. I have a private office.
Yeah,
so
good.
I'm good.
What I liked about it was that the scene starts with Carruthers looking through his binoculars. It's a long old scene. They go inside and have what is presumably a prolonged sexual experience. And then it comes back and Stamos just goes, let's go again. And then it cuts outside and Carruthers is still looking through his binoculars.
I remember that part.
So yeah, he's still looking through his binoculars, which makes the whole sequence sort of even more bizarre. It's almost like whenever they can take something in this movie and make it just a notch weirder, they do.
Yeah.
But unlike Teen Agent, there is no surprises here. When he finds out his dad's a secret agent, it doesn't seem like a big surprise to him. When he gets embroiled in the plot, he has no problem following Vanity to the nightclub. He has no problem shooting people at the warehouse. Yep. He's in it to win it at that point.
Yep.
There's no attempt to make him much more of a character other than, oh, remember that he can do gymnastics, by the way.
Right. Then he barely, and I guess in a way, a lot like Gotcha, doesn't really use those skills till the end of the film.
The very end of the movie.
Yeah.
When he does a flip and pulls Ragnar off the dam.
I'm thinking, so this movie, because if only because of the boarding school setting for him in the beginning.
Yeah.
His roommate who makes the gadgets.
Yeah.
It reminded me in a way a lot of the James Bond Jr. cartoon.
Okay.
Which I don't know if you've ever seen before.
No.
But it was spectacular.
Okay.
And it has...
But it shares some DNA with this movie?
I guess, and yeah, just in a way that it's James Bond Jr. and he's at boarding school and his roommate's name is IQ and makes all his gadgets, and he gets embroiled in little storylines with Agents of Scum. Is the name of the group in that movie, but it's like Oddjob is in it and Jaws and all the larger than life type characters. But I mean, it's only got one season, and it was, let me see how many episodes that was. But it kind of sort of reminded me of the James Bond Jr. cartoon, just because of those few things, few similarities. Actually, it looks like there was a fair amount of 65 episodes in a first season.
Wow.
But I would suggest that you check it out if you can. I wasn't sure if you had seen it before, but yeah, James Bond Jr. was on in 1991.
Wow. No, I would definitely check that out. And it's
classic.
This falls into the reason why I champion this movie, and the reason why I've reviewed it on Mo's show, I'm reviewing it on this show, I've posted about it on several occasions, is because if you were ever to get a movie like this today, it would be done as an obviously goofy comedy. It wouldn't have this thing of, no, we're playing this, like this world exists. The world that we are in is the world that we are in.
Yeah.
We're not going to overly explain it to you. We're not parodying anything specific. The bad guy in our movie is a hermaphrodite drag queen who is trying to poison the water of California, played by Gene Simmons from Kiss, who also doubles as a ginger-bearded crazy person from the CIA. And, John Stamos and Vanity are going to save the day. And that's the movie you're watching. And, oh, by the way, he has a boyfriend called Pyramid who looks like a man-horse. Mm-hmm. And that's the movie we're watching. And you're either down with that movie or you're not. And I think there's a certain...
And if you're not...
Yeah, fuck you. But it's like, Big Trouble in Little China, Last Dragon, Goonies. Someone was posting today, I think my friend Jeffrey X. Martin was posting on Facebook today. It's like, just rewatch Goonies again. It's a deeply weird film, like when you stop and look at it as an adult. There's an inventive, creative stream running through it.
Yeah.
That just makes me go, sure, everyone was on cocaine and everyone was just coming up with mad BS to do, but I'd much rather watch this movie again than the modern equivalent, because the modern equivalent would either be
wouldn't be as fun.
Well, it would be so knowing. Everyone would be nodding and winking at the be an Adam Sandler type thing, which I'm not against, but they're very definitely comedies. Yeah. This is not a comedy. There is comedy in it, and it knows what it's doing, but it is a and the fact that it's R-rated just kind of blows. I'm just like, really? You went to make this movie and you've put enough nudity and blood in it that it gets to be R-rated?
Yeah.
He has his giant coke fingernail that he kills people with.
So good.
Which is tremendous.
I have to give a quick shout out to the gentleman who plays George Lazenby's lawyer in the movie, John Anderson.
Okay, what's he from?
If you're a fan of the original MacGyver TV series, he played MacGyver's grandfather in that show, Harry Jackson.
And who is not a fan of MacGyver?
Oh, God. Favorite show of all time.
That theme song went on for 20 minutes. It was
the best.
It's such a good theme song, but it's half the show.
Bro. Me and my buddy, I'm dead serious. We were in kindergarten. We were obsessed with MacGyver. My buddy's parents were very, very trusting and let him own a Swiss Army knife. He brought a Swiss Army knife.
How old were you in kindergarten?
We were 6.
That he could own a Swiss Army knife?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he brought it with him to school. And this other kid, Derek knocked him out and he got in trouble for bringing his knife. But it was just like, I remember the teacher held it up and was like, "Oh, these are dangerous. You shouldn't bring these to school." Blah blah blah. It wasn't a big deal, and I think, and that brings me back to the whole gotcha thing where we were talking about, guns that looked real being on a college campus. Well, my buddy brought a Swiss Army knife to school when we were in kindergarten. So
when I was at junior school, a friend of mine brought a pornographic VHS tape from his grandfather's shed into school, and we watched it, Scott, during a religious studies lesson.
Frightening, wasn't it?
Yeah. While the teacher let us go off to the sixth form common room, which had a video player.
Listen.
He thought we were watching Jesus of Nazareth, starring Robert Powell.
Far from it.
Who couldn't be whiter if he tried. And instead we were watching 1970s pornography. So if you want to know why I am a heathen...
Yeah, that's why.
It is because at the early age of 9 years old, that is what I was subjected to.
Listen, man, I weep for the kids who were born post-2000 because it's at your fingertips now, man. There's no struggle anymore.
No.
To find videos and photos.
You don't have to go out to a railway siding somewhere to find a wet magazine in the hedgerows.
Exactly. For me, it was like the older kids. Oh man, I know these older kids. They have a stash up in the woods.
Yeah, always in the woods
at the town field or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These kids nowadays, man. They're not going to know the struggle, and they're going to take it for granted, and it's going to be to their detriment.
Or they're not going to watch it because they're too busy, fighting for human rights or something.
How dare they?
They'd be like, pornography denigrates women and blah, 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 blah. You can't possibly watch that. Like, what about gay pornography? Does that...
You're just not supposed to think about those things when you're watching it, man.
Right. They get paid.
Ruins it.
Jesus. If people didn't like it, why do so many people upload homemade pornography to the internet?
There you go. See? Jeez.
Why is homemade stuff? If humans aren't naturally curious, voyeuristic, weird sexually, why does it exist? It exists because it's part of who we are, and if we don't wrestle and acknowledge that, then we are doomed as an animal.
Got to come to terms with it.
Got to come to terms with the sick, dark moments of the soul.
That's right.
And relish in them as much as you can.
You sounded like Bill Cosby just then.
Don't say that. What? Don't lump me in with Cosby.
With the sick, dark times of the soul. Have one of my pudding pops.
I did not.
And maybe it was the Eddie Murphy impression of Bill Cosby that
I'm not doing any. I would never deign to do a Bill Cosby impression. I could do it as walking. You've got to.
There you go.
Come to terms with the dark parts of the soul. I could do that.
I like that better.
Thank you.
So what are we saying about?
What are we saying about Never Too Young to Die? Wrap it up, Scott. Put a bow on it, buddy.
5 out of 5. I think I gave it.
Did you like it?
I did. I did like it. I enjoyed it. It wasn't at all what I expected.
Nope.
I was kind of surprised that it was a little bit more. Like a little bit more spoofy and wacky than If Looks Could Kill was. But If Looks Could Kill came later, right?
It did. Yeah, it came several years later. Like, I want to say If Looks Could Kill was 90
something, I think, right? Yeah. But I gave it on the good old, I was going to say Untapped. That's my beer rating app. On the good old Letterboxd, I gave it a 3 out of 5.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. For a first-time watch. And I feel like this is probably the flip, right? So you don't have any history with this movie. This was a first-time watch. You didn't know what to expect, and therefore you were probably a bit like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah.
And I feel like I was the same with Gotcha in the sense, but in almost in the flip sense, is that I was probably expecting Gotcha to be goofier than it was.
Okay.
And you were probably expecting Never Too Young to Die to be more serious than it was.
Maybe a little, yeah.
Just
maybe a little.
Just a nudge.
I certainly didn't expect Gene Simmons to be all Gene Simmons-y.
Yeah, all hermaphroditing it all over the place.
I mean, that was great. I'm serious when I say he's my favorite part of the movie. Like every time he's on screen, I'm just like my eyes are glued to it. I can't take my eyes off the screen.
And apparently, when he was going to perform in the drag club, all of the people in there were real drag performers.
Hell yeah!
And they all helped him out and pointed him in the right direction of what he should be doing in his portrayal.
He's fantastic. He's fantastic.
Of Velvet Von Ragnar. I just don't, I want to, this is one of those movies where I want to get everyone still alive involved in the movie in a room and just ask them endless questions about what was going, how did you come up with this? Where did you cast Horseman? What's the history of Horseman? Horseman, are you in the room? You're in the room, great. Horseman, why was this the only movie you ever did? Like, I'm just fascinated by it. And
are there any good extras on the Blu-ray that Shout Factory put out?
None.
Huh?
And again, it disappoints me because it's
they usually do pretty good stuff.
They do. First of all, they do pretty good stuff, and secondly, as I said, there's this article from Hollywood Reporter, one of those that where Stamos says he kind of wants this to become a thing. Yeah. So I'm like, when Shout Factory put the Blu-ray out, like, get on board, Stamos. Give us an interview or a commentary or something. I want to know about it. I want to know about.
I want to know if they reached out to him or not. I mean, I would have to assume that they would have reached out to, or maybe, I don't know. Maybe it was one of those things where it was just like, not many people know what this movie is, so
let's just get it out.
Let's just get it out and see what happens.
Well, I'm glad they did, but
I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna buy it for sure. I would be happy to have this be a film in my collection that I revisit, every other year or something like that.
I don't think Stamos would ever come on my show, but the likes of Gutenberg and Weller have come on my show, but I don't know. Stamos is his own thing. I also felt a little bad because obviously he just had the great loss of his good friend and on-screen partner, Bob Saget.
Yeah. Just
had the sad loss of Bob Saget recently, and he's been tweeting about that. And I didn't want to. I tagged him in one tweet about this, but I didn't want to be like, "Hey Johnny, do an interview." Like I didn't want to do that because he's grieving at the moment. It doesn't mean that in the future I won't reach out 6 months from now and be like, "Hey Stamos, come on the After Movie Diner and let's
that would be so good.
Let's talk up some Never Too Young to Die."
I mean, he seems like a genuinely good guy, so that would be that would definitely.
But
be
I just don't know if he's ever gonna if he would ever come on the show. What other movies, if any, has Stamos done?
Oh, Stamos.
He's in My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2.
I think I tried to watch that because I love the first movie.
Yeah.
But I think I tried to watch the second one and didn't just do it. I think he's more of a small screen actor.
Yeah.
And he's great. He's a great TV actor.
He was in, that's his other one. Born to Ride is the other one. In 91. He attempts again to do. The U.S. Army recruits a delinquent biker to train their new motorcycle squad for an important mission.
Okay.
Stamos, Stockwell, and Terry Polo.
Born to
Ride. That was the only other time that Stamos decided to.
He was in the Tales from the Crypt episode.
Decided to wade into the world of.
Corporal Grady Westfall. Yes. Great name, dude.
So maybe we need to watch Born to Ride at some point in the future and do a Stamos follow-up.
I think that's probably a good idea.
Because I've never seen it. I was aware of it, but I have never seen it. And I'm intrigued that he did this and then 6 years later was like, I don't know, let's try and break through again, but this time with born to ride. Like it's just and then he never does another movie until later when he plays himself in private parts. And
I do remember him from his appearance in an Alice in Wonderland TV miniseries that I do have on DVD actually.
From 1985.
Yep. It's a very, very weird interpretation of that story, but I enjoy it quite a bit.
He is in the Beach Boys music video for the song Kokomo from the movie Cocktail.
Plays himself in private parts.
He does, yeah.
Dropping Out? What's Dropping Out? Plays a character named Ronnie in Dropping Out. Oh, God, this looks terrible. Looks depressing. Yeah, I don't think I'd want to watch that. Maybe he plays like a teacher or something. My best friend's wife. He plays himself in Run, Ronnie, Run.
The Mr. Show movie, as that's affectionately known as.
Yeah, Stamos, man.
Wow.
Kind of like a bootleg George Clooney in a way, you know? And I say that in the nicest way possible because... And the only thing that makes me say that is because Clooney got his start on ER and then left, and then Stamos came on to ER in the later seasons.
Yeah.
And they kind of have the same, you know, they kind of have the same kind of look.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they've got that. Certainly as younger men, they were darker and broodier. Clooney gave the movie thing more of a go back in the day. Because Clooney did movies.
Yep.
Took ER like with some trepidation, not knowing what it would be.
Yep.
Became the biggest thing ever, and then parlayed that back into bigger and better movies.
Yep.
But what's incredible about Clooney is that the 3 movies he does out the gate from ER, One Fine Day, The Peacemaker, and Batman and Robin, all of which bomb. None of them are like successes for him. So he must have just been like, I cannot catch a break in movies. Like I do ER, I then get the chance to do a Michelle Pfeiffer movie, a Nicole Kidman movie, and fucking the 4th Batman movie. And he must just think I am king of the hill, and every single one of them. Now, One Fine Day has got its fans.
I love One Fine Day.
But it was not a big success at the time.
No. And From Dusk Till Dawn wasn't very big either.
Well,
that was one of the first. Or was that later?
That was
during
he did that,
ER
or
he
prior?
Did that. I think it was. Oh gosh,
it was during ER. I think that was. I think that was on the break from ER. I think.
Yeah, I can't find it
because Tarantino comes back and shoots an episode of ER later on, right?
That's right. ER started in '94. From Dusk Till Dawn came in
96.
96.
Yeah.
So, but in his very early career, he was on a comedy series called ER.
E-Stroker.
Yeah, E-R.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been in two. There's been so many TV series called ER that George Clooney's been in 2 of them.
Yeah.
But yes, Stamos and Never Too Young to Die. I don't know if we did it justice, but people should rush out and watch this movie.
It's a fun watch for sure.
It is, and I love shining a light on it because I wish. No, I don't wish movies like this anymore. I just want people to realize that there are more things on heaven and earth that are dreamt of in your reality. And this is one of those movies that to me falls under a movie that you couldn't dream up if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You would need these people at that particular time in the
Lightning
world
in a bottle.
with a bunch of cocaine and probably some hard liquor and probably a weird Hollywood sex party. And then you come up with this movie. I want to know about the guy who plays the Horseman. I just want to find him. I want to interview him.
We'll find him.
I want to know if Gene Simmons ever touched him inappropriately and whether that's why he left the business. So horrified received by Simmons' tongue that he ran to Ohio, never to be seen again.
Now he owns a goat farm.
I hope Horseman owns a goat farm in Ohio. That's what I hope.
Now, before we close things out here, I wanted to ask you a question. I wanted to ask you if you had any other movies that fit this genre, but maybe don't warrant an episode as of yet. I've got one.
Oh, give us your one then, sir.
So my one, that it was actually mentioned on the socials by a friend of mine, and it's a film called The Double O Kid.
Okay.
It stars one of your favorites, Corey Haim, the late great Corey Haim.
Not one of my favorites.
And
if I'm a Corey guy at all, it's Feldman. But
there you go.
Yeah.
I think it was. I think it was an HBO movie. It never hit theaters. Okay. It never, whatever. But Corey Haim plays like a high school age kid, or maybe early college age. I think it's high school, late high school age kid who gets an internship with the CIA and gets embroiled in this little plot. It also stars Nicole Eggert, so it's the power couple, Nicole Eggert and Corey Haim, before they went on to star in a softcore porn with each other called Blown Away. No, not the Jeff Bridges movie. It's called Blown Away, and it's a softcore porno, and it was one of the first ones I ever saw, and it's magnificent.
Corey Haim, who did co-star with Cynthia Rothrock in 2 movies.
There you go.
Fast Getaway and Fast Getaway 2.
Great stuff.
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, he is awful. He is awful. He is awful.
But he's Corey Haim, though.
Yeah, but I don't understand the
Lost Boys and Lucas. Lucas is a great Corey Haim film.
Yeah.
I gotta give a shout out to Wallace Shawn, who's also in this movie. Wallace Shawn from Princess Bride, and Brigitte Nielsen is in this movie as well.
Brigitte.
I think it's worth a watch, but it doesn't necessarily, I don't think, warrant an episode speaking about it. But it is a good, maybe a good C-level entry into this little.
Well, there's a whole bunch of more modern ones, right? There's stuff like Agent Cody Banks,
Spy Kids and Cody Banks,
Spy Kids, and there was wasn't the Tuxedo, the Jackie Chan one?
Yeah,
wasn't that sort of one?
I got to look up this other one too.
I'm not interested if they're past the 90s. I'm only interested in 80s and 90s.
Okay, yeah.
Kids go spying.
The other one that I was thinking about was the one. It's called Abduction with Taylor Lautner from the Twilight movies.
No Taylor Lautner with your abduction. I hope you get abducted and never come back.
Tuxedo. There's not a lot of them, which is surprising to me. I mean, I used to have recurring dreams of like me and my buddy, like terrorists took over our school, and so me and my buddy have to blow
toy
our
soldiers.
Yeah, me and my buddy have to blow our cover and be like, oh shit, we're spies, and we have like a trunk full of guns and stuff, and then we just go into the school and take care of the terrorists and stuff.
Yeah, so like Toy Soldiers meets Flips Could Kill.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. It's the teen movie thing. It's another one of those things where the parallel between the 80s and the 50s. There's this weird parallel, but like the 50s was the height of like the teen movie, the teen biker movie, the teen beach movies, the teen I was a teenage werewolf, that kind of movie, and into the 60s as well. But the 50s and 60s kind of had that teen culture came to the fore. It did with music, it did with movies, and then the 70s, the late 60s and the 70s become very adult. And everything becomes very somber and very serious. Yeah. And then by about the mid-'80s, again, the teens have taken over. And then with the Tarantino thing and some of the others in the 90s, you've got then a wave of sort of more adult movies. And now I don't know. Like now every movie is a family movie. Like they don't make adult or teen movies anymore. It's just all a soupy mess of family-friendly blah. But no, it's where the 80s and 50s kind of meet. Is their teen-focused films, and there's got to be a couple of others knocking about out there. that we don't know about from back in the day.
Yeah.
But these are the 4 that I think people are going to be most familiar with, I think.
One of my friends mentioned the movie Hiding Out, I love the movie. It's got John Cryer and
okay.
You know
wait,
that movie?
So wait. I know nothing about Hiding Out except that we have an Australian listener who for years, and I'm not kidding you,
asked you to do an episode on Hiding Out?
For years and years and years, has very patiently and graciously waited for us to do an episode on Hiding Out. We've never done an episode on Hiding Out.
Okay.
I have, in fact, just recently, when I was talking at the end of last year about the fact that, Jim wasn't going to do the show anymore, and I was going to kind of go out and talk to people again and do different movies with different guest hosts and things like that. Shane A. Bassett from Australia, I believe, who is at Movie Analyst. Is that on Twitter? He's never done an @. before. Is he on Twitter? I didn't know he was on Twitter.
Oh, you'll have to
Hang on.
him.
Oh, let's delve deep into Shane A. Bassett for a second.
There we go. Because you know what? I'd be down for doing an episode. I've got 2 movies that
he doesn't even follow me. He's been writing to me forever, and he doesn't even follow me. Hey, Shane Adam Bassett, why don't you follow me on Twitter? You've written to me I don't know how many times about doing. Just recently, he said, I miss you and Jim talking, but I get it why you're having special guests to continue. Cheers, mate. And then the subject line of the email is, if you need a guest, let's do Hiding Out.
Well, then you know what? All right, maybe
we're never doing it. It's a whole thing.
We can do so. Hiding Out. Well, like I was saying, it was mentioned by one of my buddies. It doesn't really fit the genre. It's more. It's a different. I can only off the top of my head, I can only think of 2 movies where guys go undercover in a high school. Hiding Out is one of them. John Cryer, Keith Coogan is in that movie as well.
What's it about?
It's about a guy who's
I know nothing about it.
I think he's like a Wall Street. No, he's like a tax accountant, and I think he's like a tax accountant for like I don't know, a mobster or something like that, and something goes wrong and he has to go quote unquote hide out.
Okay.
So he hides out at his cousin's high school.
Okay.
And pretends to be a high schooler basically.
Right.
His name in the movie is Maxwell Hauser. And he gets that name from a can of Maxwell House coffee. Okay?
Of course he does.
This is the kind of genius we're talking about.
So back in 2019, August of 2019, I thought it was a lot longer ago, but back in August of 2019, Shane A. Bassett wrote, "Good day, boys. Love the show all the way from the future. About 19 hours ahead of NY from Sydney. I remember a few episodes back, someone requested 80s movie Hiding Out for the 2 of you mates to discuss. I'll second that as it's pretty decent, forgotten by many retro film. Anyway, keep up the good work. Jim is a classic sounding bloke. I enjoy his outrageously convincing views. And John is hilarious and a genius. We are definitely alike." Oh, he names me a genius and then goes, "And I am like you, sir. I too am a genius."
We are
who is
alike.
Hilarious. And then he says, "Listening to you guys' order is disturbingly addictive. Always keen to hear your choices. Cheers, mate. I'm a movie analyst who admires your great show's vibe. Booksmart episode, one of your recent best." So that was the first email. We then got another one in June of 2020, another one later in June of 2020, another one in December of 2020, another one in July of 21.
Hiding Out?
They all want me to do Hiding Out.
Oh my gosh!
When we did Burn Hollywood Burn, the Eric Idle movie, he sent me a enormous photo of the VHS that he has he's. I mean, listen, I love a regular listener. I love getting emails. I wish more people would email us. I think it's hilarious that he has been asking for 2 years for us to do Hiding Out
movie,
and
I just brought it up.
We've never done it.
Oh my Lord!
I leave it dangling in the distance as a possibility.
As a possibility, as a possible future episode, I would say we could do Hiding Out, and then we could do this other movie. This
John Cryer in Dudes.
Is that a real thing?
It's another John Cryer movie that I know of because I've seen the poster, but have never seen it. I have no interest in seeing it, but it's another John Cryer movie. Dudes and Hiding Out. And maybe I'm missing a big trick with the whole John Cryer thing. I only know him from Pretty in Pink, and he makes me want to slap him about the face and neck with a ham sandwich.
The other movie that I was thinking about, the other film that I was thinking about is a movie called Plain Clothes, which stars Arliss Howard. You know Arliss Howard? The only other movie I know him from is, two things I know him from. Full Metal Jacket and this made-for-TV movie that starred Corin Nemec called I Know My First Name is Steven, and that was that was a strange one. But Plain Clothes is a classic, and I'll I'll say no more. Holy shit, Springsteen just popped the principal. That's a classic line from Plain Clothes, because he says that he gives himself the classic name of Nick Springsteen when he goes undercover at the high school. So
those that one and
Undercover High School
Hiding Out,
I guess,
is Undercover High School. So that flips it on its head.
Yeah.
Instead of the high schooler going out into the world, this is the world coming into the high school.
There you go. Oh, shoot. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, cool.
To prove his brother's innocence, undercover officer Nick enrolls in high school again, dealing with crushes, bullies, humiliation, popularity swings, and quirky teachers and staff to find the real murderer.
So good.
Directed by none other than Martha Coolidge, who also directed Valley Girl, famously enough, and Real Genius.
Fantastic.
So,
hey, food for thought, man. And yes, I do own a DVD copy of the 00 Kid signed by the great Corey Haim. I do. I really do.
Okay.
He was great. He was fun to meet. It was a couple of years before he died. And it seemed like he was more excited to meet me than I was to meet him. It was very, very enjoyable. I actually brought like 6 or 7 different movies of his that I owned.
Yeah.
And I was like, I brought all of these. You pick which one you want to sign. And he picked the 00 Kid because he said it was the first time he'd ever seen a physical copy of it.
Wow.
So I was, here you go, dude.
Look at you, best friends with the Haimster.
He signed it to Scott. Secrets rule, Corey Haim.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I love things like that. And listen, I may have said bad things about Corey Haim in the past,
dude, it's okay.
but I will take anyone who shows up at a convention and gets in the full spirit of the thing.
Yeah.
Too often you go up to a famous person at a convention to get something signed or to talk to them or to get a picture or whatever, and they act like it's a huge imposition. And I always say to myself, then why are you here then?
Yeah, exactly. No, he was awesome. He was super gracious, and like I said, it was like it made my day because it really did seem like he was more excited to meet me than I was to meet him. It was cool. And then after he signed it, he was like, "Oh man," he's like, "You got to go find one of his co-stars from the Lost Boys." He wasn't one of the big co-stars, but it was one of the I forget what the guy's name was, but he's like, "Oh, so and so is here. You got to go find him and show him this because he was like my assistant at the time that I filmed this movie, and he would get a real kick out of it. So I went and found him, and he also got like a big kick out of it. So it was cool. It was a cool moment.
You're a bit of 00 Kid, little fandom there.
Yeah.
Little moment there, which is always lovely. I love hearing convention stories, and I like hearing that people who might seem punchable on screen are really nice people in reality. And listen, we know what he went through. The Coreys went through a nightmare that you wouldn't wish on anybody. But and hopefully that does not continue in the corridors of power. But
oh, so that was actually the other thing I was going to bring up, but I didn't get to it. Was go check out that interview with Linda Fiorentino and David Letterman.
I will.
Because she even gets kind of feisty with Letterman a little bit, which is
he used to be a bit of a sleaze.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, he used to be a bit of, and you either played along with it or you were repulsed by it. And there was some women who called him out on it on his show. Yeah,
check it out though. It's pretty. It was an interesting interview. I just watched it earlier today. So
I do need to watch more Fiorentino. In fact, I was going through her body of work and thinking like you could do a decent like Fiorentino season.
Sure. Yep.
You know what I mean? Like
Vision
there's a good
Quest,
run of
Gotcha,
movies that she did.
What'd she do? Jade. She did The Last Seduction. The later stuff like Men in Black and Dogma.
Well, the stuff I was thinking was
more like late 80s, early 90s stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like what's like Body Count.
Yeah, I don't know what that is either. But
wow, she
cool.
doubled down on the Caruso. Who does more than one movie with David Caruso? And after
she does.
After Jade, you've got to say to yourself, "I never want to be in another Caruso joint."
Right.
But nope, she goes right back to it and does another
That's
Caruso
funny.
joint with Body Count. What else have we got here? Unforgettable with
I don't know that
Ray
one.
Liotta, and someone said to me recently, like, you should do a Ray Liotta season. But Linda Fiorentino, she does a couple of Daniel Baldwin movies as well. She's in like more than one movie with Daniel Baldwin.
Oh, he was king of the erotic thrillers of the early 90s. Good old Daniel Baldwin.
Bodily Harm. Beyond the Law with Charlie Sheen and Michael Madsen.
Seduction, Bodily Harm,
Bikers.
Jade. Charlie's
Chain
Ghost Story.
of
Kicked in the Head.
Desire.
What is Kicked in the Head?
Chain of Desire.
Kicked in the Head looks like a comedy with Kevin Corrigan and Michael Rappaport and James Woods.
What?
Burt Young is in it.
What?
It's called Kicked in the Head.
James Woods and Michael
Yeah.
Rappaport. Can you imagine being on the fucking set of that movie?
That's funny.
We need to get Scott Toomey that vintage paintball gun.
Yeah.
$250 you said on
$275.
$275 on eBay. Come on, cheap at half the price.
Let's go, baby.
Let us start a GoFundMe for Scott Toomey through the After Movie Diner, though. I'm not actually going to set up a GoFundMe.
No.
Through the After Movie Diner, all donations made in the next month after this episode goes live will go to Scott's gun acquisition.
Yes.
So come on, donate to the Get Scott Toomey a Vintage Paintball Gun Foundation.
I'll frame it with my vintage
He will frame it with
luggage tag memorabilia.
So come on, I have enough listeners on the After Movie Diner that you can all chip in $5. Come on,
Should be pretty easy.
50 of you, $5. That's what is it? No, you'd have to be
50. That'd be 250. Yeah, 50.
54
50 times 5.
55 people would have to give $5 each. Come on, 55 people. I have more listeners than that. So come on,
Excited.
then. $5, everybody. Go to the After Movie Diner, aftermoviediner.com. Go to the Donate Now button on the page, and all donations that come in after this episode will go directly to the Scott Toomey Get Him a Vintage Paintball Gun Fund. Yes! I'm putting $5 in. Woo! Someone else needs to put $5
I'll put
in.
$5 in.
Let's make this a reality, people. We've already got $10. God, I wish this was live now. I wish we could just like stream live right away and just be like, come on.
Have like a little telethon.
Let's take donations. But either way, make it happen. That would be a wonderful start to 2022 for Scott Toomey, who's joined us on not one but 2 episodes.
Happy to be back.
Killing it all
Thanks,
day,
buddy.
every day. Don't forget to check him out at Retrofuturism 101 on the Twitch waves for some of the smooth synth songs that he's going to be playing. Retrofuturism 101 on the Twitches. Check it out. Follow him on Twitter and all of those good places. The links, as always, will be in the episode description. And go to After Movie Diner, hit donate now. Give your $5 to get Scott that vintage paintball gun. We are going to make it a reality. I promise you that.
Make my dreams come true.
Yes, the After Movie Diner, making magic happen since 2011. Great, and we're out. Open the door and let the sun in. Don't be distracted pain looks like it's painful and it's permanent, don't hesitate to claim it's someone else's ornament. When the crowds gather round the same barrel, change your name, change locations, change apparel. I will see you when I see you. Tap me when the players hit their stride. It's the questions that'll kill you at the halfway point. It's okay to tell the carnival to stop the ride. Find somewhere to hide. Ignore every clock, no matter how it's amplified. Stop short of using phrases that'll irritate. Don't pin every last hope you have on a hasty blind date. Lift the instruments up until they all connect just so, but don't let those same instruments dictate where you can go. I will see you when I see you. Tap me when the monsters are dispersed. It's all the details that'll kill you at a certain point. It's okay to tell the actors that they are way over rehearsed. Find somewhere that's cursed. Prove it safe. Be the first. Change apparel. I will see you when I see you. Tap me when the monsters are dispersed. It's all the details that'll kill you at a certain age. It's okay to tell the actors that they are way over rehearsed. Find somewhere that's cursed. Prove it safe. Be the first. Prove it safe. Be the first.